early. If the circumstances warrant it, there may be a glimmer of hope, Qin Feng continued. Gu Yechen remained silent, simply standing resolutely. Subsequently, the police commenced a meticulous examination of the scene, while Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun were taken aside to await further questioning. Time passed slowly. Yet Gu Yechen's composure gradually returned. He understood that regardless of the outcome, he would not regret his actions. At last, the police concluded their preliminary investigation. Gu Yechen, please accompany us to the station for a detailed statement, Qin Feng instructed. Gu Yechen lifted Zhang Yun and replied, very well. At the police station, Gu Yechen remained quiet, merely smiling as he greeted, Director Deng, what brings you to lead this operation? Deng Jian shot him a disapproving glance. You have stirred quite the trouble. Even Mayor Han may struggle to protect you now, he lamented, shaking his head in dismay. This is a serious matter. A shooting incident in Huagua is a grave offense. One that warrants severe punishment, including the death penalty for such violent actions. Deng Jian expressed his frustration. He then took out his phone to inform Han Zhong. Recognizing that as the mayor, he had a right to be apprised of the situation, along with the municipal and provincial leaders. Upon receiving the call, Han Zhong rushed to the police station, only to find Gu Yechen sitting leisurely beside a young woman, not Su Yan, which incited his ire. He assumed Gu Yechen was juggling multiple relationships, unaware that he was entangled in more than two. Upon spotting Han Zhong, Gu Yechen paused momentarily before standing. Uncle Han, do you realize your actions could lead to a death sentence? Han Zhong questioned, his gaze stern. Yes, Gu Yechen replied nonchalantly, showing no signs of distress. Then why proceed in such a manner? If this reaches Xia and Apos' ears, what will she think? Han Zhong and Apos' frustration mounted, wishing he could shake some sense into Gu Yechen. Chapter 181. The identity of Gu Yechen, there's nothing to worry about. This matter will pose no problems, Gu Yechen stated calmly. His expression was as tranquil as water, for everything lay within his control. Han Zhong turned to Zhang Yun, inquiring about the young woman beside Gu Yechen. Who is this girl? Although he had an inkling, he sought to hear Gu Yechen's explanation. His gaze lingered on Zhang Yun, filled with curiosity and doubt, much like Su Yan's. Gu Yechen shrugged nonchalantly, as if this were not a matter shrouded in secrecy. You little rascal, I never expected you to. Han Zhong's demeanor shifted abruptly, his countenance darkening, filled with concern for his niece. Would this lead her to distrust love forever? Anxiety swelled within him. Be honest with me, how many are there? Han Zhong looked at Gu Yechen with a hint of exasperation. His brows knitted tightly, a glimmer of disappointment evident in his eyes. Uncle Han, this matter is known to Chu Xia. Gu Yechen scoffed lightly, shrugging once more. He remained composed, unfazed by Han Zhong's inquiries. Han Zhong was taken aback, his mouth agape, momentarily speechless. Are you saying Chu Xia is aware of this and is still with you? His voice rose incredulously, discomfort washing over him. The Han family had only this one little princess, cherished beyond measure. How could she possibly rush to offer herself? What will you do now? This is no trivial matter. You are well aware of the gravity of gun-related incidents in Huagua. If this escalates, even I may not be able to shield you, Han Zhong stated with solemnity. If it were merely a brawl, he might cover for Gu Yechen, but a shooting could be treated as an act of terrorism. His tone was heavy, his expression serious, worry etching his features. Uncle Han, there and Apos' no need for concern. This minor issue is nothing. Gu Yechen smiled, presenting a box to Han Zhong. His demeanor was relaxed. Before this box, every challenge seemed surmountable. Han Zhong trembled slightly, for the emblem upon the box was none other than the August 1st Army emblem. His eyes widened, breath quickening. This is, Han Zhong gazed at Gu Yechen, disbelief evident in his voice as he instinctively clenched his hands. Typically, the identities of Dragon Group members are shrouded in secrecy. Even municipal leaders are aware of their insignia. Upon seeing the August 1st emblem, Han Zhong felt a wave of relief wash over him. He opened the box to reveal a dragon-shaped badge, inscribed with the characters August 1st. The badge shimmered under the light, symbolizing boundless strength and responsibility, a coveted treasure. Immediately, Han Zhong closed the box and returned it to Gu Yechen, taking a deep breath. He understood that Gu Yechen was safe now. His anxiety gradually dissipated, the tension on his face easing significantly. You rascal, you made me worry unnecessarily for Chu Xia. Those who possess such an item are no ordinary individuals. Their actions are justifiable. Now, tell me what transpired, Han Zhong said, settling into his chair, gazing at Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun with a more relaxed demeanor. Due to past grievances with the Mo family, they have attempted multiple assassinations on me. The last time, I was hospitalized after receiving several stab wounds from Mo's hired hands. Furthermore, my sister was injured while shielding me from a bullet. Recently, they sent members of the Dark Blade gang to drug my people in an attempt to harm her. Had I not arrived in time, the consequences are better left unsaid. Gu Yechen recounted in a calm tone, devoid of emotion. A flicker of coldness passed through his eyes as he recalled the past, his anger still simmering beneath the surface. Uncle, rest assured, I am not one to harm the innocent. This medal is the best testament to my character. Gu Yechen stated with unwavering conviction. His gaze was resolute, leaving no room for doubt. Han Zhong nodded, acknowledging, the Darkblade gang has deep roots. We have conducted numerous investigations, yet with little success. Your ability to eliminate the leader of the Darkblade gang in Shanghai City is truly impressive. A smile crept onto Han Zhong and Appo's lips, his eyes shining with gratitude and admiration. However, caution is still warranted. Although the leader has perished, many operatives remain hidden in Shanghai City, and they may strike at any moment, Han Zhong advised earnestly, his expression once again serious, cautioning Gu Yechen not to let his guard down. At that moment, the conference room door was forcefully pushed open. All eyes turned to the entrance, where a girl in a white dress with a ponytail appeared. Beads of sweat glistening on her forehead, adding an extraordinary allure to her already stunning visage. The droplets shimmered on her fair skin like pearls. Chuxia, what brings you here? Han Zhong asked in surprise upon recognizing her. Gu Yechen also rose, a flicker of joy and tenderness crossing his features as he gazed at her. Chuxia scanned the room, quickly locating her target, and rushed into Gu Yechen's embrace, holding him tightly. Her body trembled slightly, fear of losing him consuming her. Zhang Yun observed this scene with a twinge of discomfort, but soon reconciled herself to the reality of being merely one among Gu Yechen's many companions. She sighed gently, suppressing her emotions. Ahem. Han Zhong cleared his throat, drawing attention. With tears welling in her eyes, Chu Xiao implored, Uncle, please stop coughing. You must save Yechen. Foolish girl. Don and Appos. T cried just yet. Yechen will be fine, Han Zhong replied, helpless. Chu Xiao lifted her gaze to Gu Yechen, saying, Yechen, I am so afraid of losing you. Gu Yechen gently patted her back, reassuring her, do not fear, I am perfectly fine. Chu Xiao clutched his clothing tightly, declaring, you must not take such risks again. Gu Yechen nodded, promising, all right, I assure you. As long as no harm comes to my women, I shall refrain from taking risks. Yet, in his heart, he thought of a different matter. If they dared to strike against him, he would ensure their complete eradication. Han Zhong observed the two, feeling a surge of emotions. Was their little princess truly destined to follow Gu Yechen? Despite his immense potential, the multitude of women surrounding him raised concerns for their family and Appos' values of lifelong fidelity. Would this tradition be altered? All right, Chuxia, let Yechen finish his business first, Han Zhong instructed. Reluctantly, Chuxia released Gu Yechen and turned to Zhang Yun, asking, Yechen, who is this sister? Chapter 182. Assisting Zhang Yun with her bath. Her name is Zhang Yun, but you may address her as sister. Gu Yechen gently ruffled Han Chuxia's hair, his gaze imbued with tenderness. Sister Yun, I am Han Chuxia. I look forward to your guidance. Han Chuxia grasped Zhang Yun's small hand, a sweet smile illuminating her face, and the two instantly became exceedingly close. Her smile radiated warmth and brilliance akin to the sun at spring. Han Zhong, witnessing his niece's delight in sharing a man with another, shot a fierce glare at Gu Yechen. His face darkened as if ink could drip from it. His eyes seemed to hold 1,000 knives for Gu Yechen, filled with dissatisfaction and helplessness. Uncle Han, I will be careful from now on, Gu Yechen said, touching his nose and feigning ignorance of Han Zhong's furious gaze. His expression bore a hint of awkwardness, yet it was predominantly resolute. Han Zhong nodded, declaring, all right, you may return now. He needed to stay behind to manage the aftermath, as the incident had caused considerable repercussions. Gu Yechen departed the conference room with Han Chuxia and Zhang Yun. Meanwhile, Su Yin received news from her bodyguard regarding Gu Yechen's situation. In truth, her heart swelled with joy. Gu Yechen's willingness to act for his woman suggested that if she were ever in peril, he would come to her aid as well. A ripple of anticipation washed over her as she envisioned Gu Yechen standing up for her, a smile unconsciously gracing her lips. After her bath, Su Yin lay in bed, clad in a lacy nightgown that exuded both sensuality and intellect. As she gazed at the ceiling, a sense of emptiness crept into her heart, her thoughts drifting towards Gu Yechen. Upon returning home with Zhang Yun and Han Chuxiao remained apprehensive. Yechen, no matter what happens in the future, you must inform me immediately, she insisted, her eyes filled with concern and worry, her hands gripping the hem of Gu Yechen's shirt tightly. Gu Yechen smiled reassuringly. Okay, I understand. His warm and comforting smile aimed to soothe Han Chuxia's inner turmoil. Chuxia, please sit for a moment and feel free to explore. I will take you in for a bath first, he said gently, his gaze tender. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's intention to assist Zhang Yun with her bath, Han Chuxia felt a flutter of excitement. She grasped his hand and asked, may I join you for the bath? Her eyes sparkled with anticipation, a blush creeping onto her cheeks. Gu Yechen was taken aback. Was this a statement befitting a beauty? Han Chuxia was no ordinary woman, and her boldness left him momentarily speechless, his mouth agape as he struggled to respond. After a pause, he shook his head and replied, no, you must be patient. We will be out shortly, and perhaps in the future, we can bathe together. He gently patted her head, his tone imbued with affection. But why can I not join if you can? Han Xuxia queried, perplexed. They were all familiar with one another. Why the exclusion? Her brow furrowed slightly, her eyes reflecting confusion and disappointment. Gu Yechen patiently explained, we cannot bathe together due to the review restrictions imposed by Tomato Fiction. Do you understand? His expression was earnest, tinged with a hint of helplessness. Han Xuxia's eyes lit up with understanding, and she laughed. When will Tomato Fiction approve this? Her tone was tinged with impatience, curiosity glimmering in her eyes. I'm not certain. Perhaps in due time, Gu Yechen replied, playfully tapping her nose. Be good. His touch was gentle, his eyes filled with affection. Han Xuxia nodded, recognizing the inevitability of the situation, aware that passing the review was essential to avoid confinement. She reluctantly released Gu Yechen and Apos' hand, saying, then please be quick. As Gu Yechen led Zhang Yun into the bathroom, she looked at him and asked, are you truly fine leaving Xuxia alone in the living room? I'm capable of managing myself. You should attend to Xuxia, Zhang Yun replied, her smile strained due to her swollen cheeks. Yet she remained considerate of Han Xuxia's feelings. Concern glimmered in her eyes, her voice frail. Rest assured, I will assist you with your bath first. Do not overthink it. From tomorrow, you will be assigned a bodyguard. If you have trouble finding one, just let me know, and I will help, Gu Yechen asserted, his tone resolute, eyes brimming with concern and protectiveness for Zhang Yun. I can manage on my own, it and Apos. No trouble, Zhang Yun insisted, not wishing to burden Gu Yechen, aware that his undertakings were significant. Her gaze reflected determination and independence. Gu Yechen helped Zhang Yun with her bath, the details omitted. Half an hour later, Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun emerged in pajamas. Han Xuxia had prepared several dishes. Upon their arrival, she exclaimed, Yechen, Sister Yun, come eat. I made it myself. Her voice was infused with excitement, her face radiant with joy. Xuxia, you've begun cooking. Impressive. But how did the meal come together so quickly? Gu Yechen inquired, perplexed, as he approached the dining table, inhaling the enticing aromas. Simple. I cooked the dishes, but the rice was purchased. There simply wasn't time to cook it all, Han Xuxia replied, eagerly popping a piece of braised beef into her mouth and savoring it. Delicious. Seeing Han Xuxia relish her food, both Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun simultaneously picked up pieces of beef, agreeing on its exquisite tenderness and flavor. Xuxia, I had no idea your culinary skills were so remarkable. Though you may not rival me, you're certainly commendable. Gu Yechen applauded, his eyes sparkling with admiration. Of course, Han Xuxia beamed at his praise. After dinner and washing the dishes, the trio settled on the sofa, engrossed in a television show, basking in the warmth of the moment, the atmosphere charged with subtle tension. At that moment, Han Xuxia noticed the swelling on Zhang Yun's face and went to fetch something. Sister Yun, let me apply some medicine, Han Xuxia declared, retrieving a first aid kit to assist Zhang Yun. I'll take care of it, Gu Yechen interjected, taking the kit and sitting beside Zhang Yun. Does it hurt? He gently caressed her swollen cheek, feeling a pang of sympathy, reluctant to see her in such distress. His voice was soft, as if afraid to startle her. It doesn't hurt. Just thinking of you makes the pain vanish, Zhang Yun smiled, though a sharp intake of breath followed. Gu Yechen opened the kit, carefully applying ointment to her cheek with the utmost tenderness, his gaze focused and his movements deliberate. Han Xuxia watched in awe, her heart swelling with admiration, thinking, he truly lives up to my expectations. Yechen, can we always be like this? Han Xuxia leaned against Gu Yechen's shoulder, her voice a whisper. Yes. As long as you wish for it, it will always be so, Gu Yechen replied, enveloping both women in his embrace, his heart brimming with happiness and contentment. As night deepened, Han Xuxia and Zhang Yun did not return home. With Qin Lang temporarily away for a few days, it afforded them precious time alone. The three of them, enveloped in this tender atmosphere, drifted into a sweet slumber. The subsequent events are omitted. Chapter 183. Refreshing Gu Yechen the following day. Han Xuxia was the first to awaken. She squinted her eyes as the morning sunlight filtered through the gaps in the curtains, bathing her delicate face in a warm glow. Glancing at Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun, her cheeks flushed with a rosy hue, the wild events of the previous night vividly replaying in her mind. She gently pressed a soft kiss on Gu Yechen's lips, like a light butterfly, fearful of disturbing their sweet slumber, before carefully exiting the bedroom to freshen up. Her movements were tender and graceful, imbued with a hint of charm. After completing her morning routine, Han Xuxia donned an apron and entered the kitchen to prepare breakfast for Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun, opting for seafood egg congee. She retrieved 3 eggs, intending to give 2 to Gu Yechen and 1 to Zhang Yun, mindful of Gu Yechen and Apos' exertion the previous night. Once the breakfast was ready, she arranged the food neatly on the dining table and left a note inscribed in elegant handwriting. For my dear Yechen and my sister Yun, remember to eat. With a heart full of joy, she departed. At 8:30, Gu Yechen slowly stirred awake. As he opened his eyes, he savored the tranquil morning, feeling invigorated, as if all his fatigue from last night had vanished. Stretching luxuriously, he turned his head and noticed that Han Xuxia had already risen. Meanwhile, Zhang Yun clung to him like an octopus, her arms tightly wrapped around his waist, her face pressed against his chest. Evidently still haunted by the events of the previous evening, Gu Yechen gently stroked her head, reassuringly saying, "Do not fear. Should anyone dare to harm you, I will ensure they regret ever entering this world." His voice was soft yet resolute, akin to a sacred vow. Zhang Yun seemed to catch the essence of his words, her lips moving as if in a dreamlike murmur. Carefully, Gu Yechen extricated Zhang Yun's arms, taking great care not to awaken her. After rising, he bestowed a gentle kiss upon her lips, leaving a tender imprint, before turning to shower. The warm water cascaded down from above as Gu Yechen closed his eyes. Lost in thought, he contemplated the days to come, the women in his life, and felt enveloped in warmth. With the system in place and his company beginning to take shape, he was no longer the same person he once was, surrounded by numerous responsibilities. He felt the weight of his obligations grow. After his shower, Gu Yechen donned a refreshing outfit and descended the stairs. Upon reaching the first floor, he called out, "Chu Xia," but was met with silence. The vast emptiness of the room echoed only his voice. Upon noticing the breakfast spread on the table, he approached, discovering the note that lay there quietly, as if waiting for his attention. The beautiful and warm words inscribed on the paper caused his lips to curve into a radiant smile, reminiscent of a dragon king's descent. At that moment, Zhang Yun descended the stairs, her steps light and her eyes still heavy with sleep. Startled by Gu Yechen's exaggerated smile, she thought perhaps a burglar had entered the house. "Ah Chen, why are you smiling so broadly? Is there something to celebrate?" she inquired, curiosity sparkling in her eyes. "Nothing much," Gu Yechen replied, handing the note to Zhang Yun, his gaze filled with tenderness. With a chuckle, Zhang Yun read the note and remarked, "Sister Chuxia is truly adorable. Where is she?" Having just come downstairs, she noted Han Chuxia's absence with growing curiosity. Initially, she had thought it might be challenging to coexist with Gu Yechen's other women. Yet her first day with Han Chuxia had been exceedingly pleasant. Chuxia left early, Gu Yechen said, pulling out a chair and gently seating Zhang Yun. "This is breakfast prepared by her. Do enjoy it." His tone bore a hint of command, yet was laced with affection. Gu Yechen took his place at the head of the table, and the two enjoyed their breakfast in serene silence. Sunlight streamed through the window, casting a warm glow on the table, enhancing the cozy atmosphere. "When do you plan to go to Kyoto?" Zhang Yun inquired between bites, her eyes reflecting a mix of anticipation and reluctance. "Perhaps in about 10 days. It will be the perfect time to organize my dormitory," Gu Yechen responded, his tone imbued with longing. He possessed a separate dormitory, a small villa exclusively granted to students of Qingbei University, a privilege reserved for those of exceptional academic merit. His voice held a note of yearning, as he had never attended university himself, merely hearing tales of its splendor. "Then you must take me with you," Gu Yechen said, affectionately patting Zhang Yun's head, his eyes alight with expectation, knowing she would accompany him. "Absolutely." Zhang Yun nodded eagerly. As long as she could remain by Gu Yechen's side, she was content, even if it meant managing his company from afar, as long as they could share moments together. Her face radiated happiness, her heart brimming with dreams for the future. Once breakfast concluded, it was time to prepare for the day ahead. "Yun, why Don and Apos? Do you stay here for the next few days?" "Rest well. I have some matters to attend to," Gu Yechen said, caressing her cheek. "Okay." Zhang Yun nestled closer to Gu Yechen, resting her head against his chest, embodying a playful demeanor. Gu Yechen felt warmth spread through him, as the old adage goes. Isn't marrying and having children about feeling the essence of home upon returning? "Come back early. I will be waiting for you at home." Zhang Yun looked up at Gu Yechen, her hand gently caressing his handsome face, her gaze somewhat infatuated. Gu Yechen lowered his head, capturing Zhang Yun and Apos' rosy lips in a kiss. 2.5 minutes later, he released her. "I understand," Gu Yechen said with a smile, turning to leave. Zhang Yun accompanied Gu Yechen to the garage, watching the familiar Bugatti drive away, her heart filled with emotion. From a hotel lobby manager to becoming Gu Yechen's woman, this gentle and patient man was truly exceptional. She had never imagined encountering someone as perfect as Gu Yechen. Inside the Bugatti, Gu Yechen's thoughts drifted as he contemplated the tasks ahead. He was en route to address a matter instigated by the Mo family, needing to ensure its resolution within their ranks. Since the onset of misfortune, only 3 members remained in the Mo family: Mo Din, a vegetable state; Mo Ihan, paralyzed; and Mo Dun's wife, who had suffered a tragic accident resulting in amputation due to excessive grief. This journey was to bring an end to their plight, particularly targeting the old scoundrel, Mo Dun. Without eliminating him, Gu Yechen would feel a sense of loss. In the hospital, Mo Ihan lay in his bed, having undergone surgery with steel rods inserted to stabilize his spine, barely clinging to life. He gazed at his legs, now amputated. As his lofty ambitions and dreams evaporated in the wake of this calamity, he struggled to accept his new identity as a cripple. Chapter 184. 25 stabs to bid farewell to Mo Dun. At this moment, a doctor accompanied by a nurse entered the room. The doctor walked with a steady yet urgent pace, while the nurse closely followed, holding a clipboard and various medical instruments. Mr. Mo, how are you feeling? The doctor inquired after assessing Mo Ihan's condition. His gaze was infused with concern and a professional scrutiny, as his hands deftly flipped through the medical records. I feel nothing. I just want to stand up, Mo Ihan replied, a sense of helplessness and resentment saturating his voice as he stared blankly at the ceiling. The unfortunate circumstances surrounding the Mo family weighed heavily on him, leaving him with an unbearable sense of powerlessness. The doctor shook his head in response, silently lamenting the plight of this young man. It is indeed a pity to lose a limb at such a young age. For now, try not to dwell on it too much. Focus on cooperating with the treatment and rehabilitation training. Modern medicine is quite advanced. One day, you may be fitted with a prosthetic limb and stand again, but you must be realistic about your situation regarding your lower back. The doctor's tone was as gentle as possible, yet the gravity of his words cast a somber shadow. Mo Ihan nodded, determination flickering in his eyes. He was acutely aware of the troubles besieging his family business and of Gu Yechen's acquisition of Mo family's shares, which had led to a change in the company's name. He could not bear the thought of his family's legacy being usurped. Once he was able to stand again, he vowed to reclaim everything that rightfully belonged to the Mo family. However, he understood that the path ahead would be fraught with challenges and uncertainties, demanding immense effort and courage, yet he was undaunted. Gu Yechen entered the hospital and made his way directly to Mo Dun's ward. He carried himself with an air of poise while deliberately masking his true intentions. The room was empty, devoid of nurses or doctors. Disguised in a doctor's attire, complete with a white coat, mask, and gloves, he pushed open the door to the ward. His eyes were cold and dark, seemingly brimming with hatred. Mo Dun lay quietly on the bed, his lips pale and his features drawn. He was connected to various medical devices, his weak breaths revealing the fragility of his life. You old fool, I never imagined your life would be so resilient. Even the misfortune card couldn't bring you down. It appears the system has failed you. Gu Yechen's voice dripped with anger and murderous intent as he clenched his fists, his body trembling with rage. That is because the host drew a low-level misfortune card. It is not my fault. The system interjected, promptly countering Gu Yechen's words. Upon hearing the system's voice, Gu Yechen chuckled bitterly, taken aback by its audacity. You system, always shirking responsibility, he muttered. Sleep for now. I will summon you if needed. I have matters to attend to, he commanded. Fixing his gaze back on Mo Dun, a glimmer of resolve flickering within his eyes. Without hesitation, Gu Yechen opted for a direct approach, plunging a knife into Mo Dun 25 times. Each thrust was infused with the fury and hatred that consumed him, blood splattering onto his white coat, yet he remained unfazed. Mo Dun, if you survive this, do take heed in the future, Gu Yechen declared before pivoting on his heel and departing with a determined and swift stride. Devoid of doubt or regret, he intended to ensure that neither Mo Yizhuang nor Mo Dun's wife would escape his retribution, but daytime was not conducive for his plans. Once outside the hospital, he swiftly deleted all surrounding surveillance footage from his computer. His fingers danced over the keyboard, the screen flashing with data, as if concealing the traces of his vengeful actions. After leaving the hospital, Gu Yechen's anger subsided slightly, yet he understood this was merely the beginning. He would not spare anyone from the Mo family. Glancing at his phone, he noticed messages in the chat group for the Explosive Sky Gang. Everyone, tonight at 8 o'clock. A charity gala will be held at the Qinghai Lake Center. Read a simple, yet significant message. Qinghai Lake, an island nestled in the midst of Qinghai Bay, was surrounded by water on all sides, providing a view of the land as if one were situated in the heart of a lake. The scenery was beautiful, and the air was fresh, making it an idyllic place for rejuvenation. Contemplating the charity gala, Gu Yechen resolved to attend. Knowing that the funds provided by the system were not a burden to spend, and he could also gain reinforcement points. Most importantly, as someone who had experienced poverty, he understood the struggles of those at the bottom of the socioeconomic ladder. Upon returning home, Gu Yechen sank into deep thought while seated on the sofa. He recognized that his recent actions might precipitate further complications, yet he felt no remorse. The pain inflicted by the Mo family was one he intended to repay tenfold. Ah Chun, what's wrong? Zhang Yun inquired, observing Gu Yechen's unusual demeanor. I just went to seek justice, he replied candidly, revealing the truth to Zhang Yun. What do you mean? Are you all right? She asked, her face turning pale as she began to check him over. I'm fine, don't worry, Gu Yechen assured her, embracing her gently, relishing the warmth of the moment as her previous injuries had healed. Will you accompany me somewhere? Gu Yechen softly asked, looking at the woman in his arms. Zhang Yun nodded, willing to go wherever Gu Yechen led her. He drove them to the Starlight Orphanage, a place he had only visited once since its reconstruction began. Where are we going? Zhang Yun asked curiously. To my former home, Gu Yechen smiled. His gaze fixed ahead as they drove for about half an hour. Upon arriving at the Starlight Orphanage, Gu Yechen stood outside, admiring the completed construction. Only a few basic elements remained, such as play areas for the children, and it would be ready for occupancy in about a month. This is where you grew up? Zhang Yun asked, momentarily taken aback. Yes, I was an orphan raised here, Gu Yechen replied, his eyes reflecting a yearning for the carefree innocence of his childhood. He then drove to the old orphanage, which was not far from the new one, nestled right next door. Xiaochen, you're back. Li Guosheng, the security guard, greeted him with a smile, having not seen Gu Yechen for quite some time. Indeed, Uncle Li, Gu Yechen replied, offering him a cigarette. I came to check on the children and brought some food. He instructed to have the items placed in the freezer, then turned to Li Guosheng. How have things been lately? Quite well. The new orphanage will be open soon, but we will continue to maintain the old one, Li Guosheng replied cheerfully. At that moment, Zhang Yun opened the car door and stepped out, calling out to Li Guosheng, Uncle Li. Ah, young lady, are you Xiaochen's girlfriend? Li Guosheng inquired, his age not diminishing his curiosity. Zhang Yun was about to deny it, but Gu Yechen interjected, holding her hand firmly. Indeed, Uncle Li. What do you think of my taste? He said with a grin. Chapter 185. Returning Zhang Yun to the orphanage upon hearing Gu Yechen openly declare her as his girlfriend. Zhang Yun's petite face flushed crimson, overwhelmed by a wave of shyness. The ivory hue of her complexion was instantly adorned with a vibrant blush reminiscent of the evening glow, extending to the very roots of her ears. This bashful sentiment compelled her to lower her gaze, unable to meet the eyes of those around her. Yet the adoration she felt for Gu Yechen shimmered in her eyes, tender and profound like a gentle stream. Her bashful smile stirred a desire within Gu Yechen, one that urged him to embrace her immediately. However, he restrained himself, mindful of their public surroundings. Li Guosheng erupted into laughter upon hearing Gu Yechen's words, exclaiming, "What a beautiful girl! You are indeed fortunate to encounter such a wonderful lady." His hearty laughter echoed through the air, his gaze filled with admiration as he scrutinized Zhang Yun. Recognizing her as a woman capable of nurturing a home, he appreciated her gentle demeanor and lively eyes, which brought him immense satisfaction. The sight of Gu Yechen with a girlfriend delighted him, causing the wrinkles on his face to unfurl with joy. Zhang Yun, flattered by the compliment, felt her cheeks warm with embarrassment. She lowered her head slightly, nervously fiddling with the hem of her clothes, and softly responded, "Thank you, Uncle Li." Her voice was as melodious and clear as a warbler's song. Taking Zhang Yun's hand, Gu Yechen led her into the orphanage, where the familiar decor remained unchanged. The nostalgic scenes invoked a warm sense of reminiscence within him. The colorful slide in the yard still stood vibrantly, and the children's drawings on the walls radiated a sense of childhood innocence, though only one wall remained intact. Brother Chun. At that moment, several children spotted Gu Yechen and rushed towards him. These were the little ones who had yet to attend school and thus remained at the orphanage. Their lively footsteps danced with energy and joy. "Brother Chun, this sister is so beautiful," exclaimed a little girl named Mu Mu, tugging at Zhang Yun's hand, her innocent eyes brimming with curiosity and fondness. "Isn't she lovely? She's your sister." Gu Yechen gently ruffled the little girl's hair, his eyes radiating affection. In unison, all the children called out sister, melting Zhang Yun's heart. She immediately began distributing candies and affectionately patting each child's head, thoroughly engrossed in the joyful task. "Where's Xiaohu?" Gu Yechen surveyed the area, not spotting the child he was inquiring about. A hint of concern crossed his face. "Brother who has gone to school," Mumu replied, looking up at Gu Yechen with a radiant smile. Realization dawned on Gu Yechen. Xiaohu was already over 6 years old and had commenced his schooling. Observing the group of children before him, he felt compelled to ensure they were introduced to preschool, allowing them to meet other children. Although Qinlan taught them at the orphanage, it would still be beneficial for them to socialize with peers. "Go on and play for now. I'll check in with the director." Gu Yechen smiled warmly, his demeanor as inviting as the sun, making the children feel an overwhelming sense of familiarity. "All right." Several children giggled, their laughter resonating in the yard like the sweetest melody. "You seem to adore them," Gu Yechen remarked as he noticed Zhang Yun lost in thought while watching the children play. His voice was gentle, akin to a soft breeze. "They're so adorable," Zhang Yun responded, her gaze filled with warmth and affection as she observed the children. It was as if she were witnessing the purest and most beautiful facets of life, a stark contrast to her own less fortunate childhood. "We will have children too," Gu Yechen tenderly stated, his eyes deeply fixed on Zhang Yun. Zhang Yun's face immediately flushed a deeper shade of red upon hearing Gu Yechen's words. She had never contemplated this matter before, and concerns about their future children flooded her mind, intertwining her thoughts in a chaotic whirlwind. Gu Yechen had mentioned from the start that they would not obtain a marriage certificate. While she was indifferent, what would become of their children? While Zhang Yun was lost in contemplation, Gu Yechen swiftly pressed a gentle kiss to her lips, then guided her into the building. That fleeting kiss, delicate as a dragonfly's touch upon water, sent ripples through Zhang Yun's heart. Dazed, Zhang Yun followed Gu Yechen, her hand instinctively brushing her lips. A shy smile gracing her face as a flutter of nervousness coursed through her. She was about to meet the director of the orphanage. Uncertainty filled her heart as she pondered how the director would perceive her. "Qin-ma," Gu Yechen called out, his voice resonating in the hallway. "Is that you, Xiaochen?" Qin Lan emerged from her room, leaning on her cane. Upon seeing Gu Yechen, her face blossomed into a radiant smile, akin to spring flowers in full bloom. Her expression widened further upon noticing Gu Yechen holding a girl's hand. "Wonderful. This girl is truly lovely," Qin Lan exclaimed as she appraised Zhang Yun. Her words laced with delight and satisfaction, as if Zhang Yun were the very person she had long awaited. "Qin-ma, this is Zhang Yun," Gu Yechen introduced, his face beaming with happiness. "Hello, Qin-ma," Zhang Yun greeted, mimicking Gu Yechen and Appo's politeness, her voice tinged with a hint of nervousness. "Wonderful, wonderful." Upon hearing Zhang Yun address her as Qin-ma, the atmosphere shifted entirely. "Child, don't be anxious. Come in and sit down," Qin Lan warmly beckoned them. The room, though simple, was arranged with a cozy and tidy ambience, adorned with photographs of children on the walls. "Xiao Yun, this child has grown up in this orphanage since childhood. Quite mischievous, yet kind-hearted," Qin Lan said, grasping Zhang Yun's hand affectionately. Zhang Yun listened attentively, nodding in response from time to time. "From now on, you two must cherish one another and take care of each other." Qin Lan's eyes sparkled with hope and blessings. Zhang Yun's face reddened, but she remained silent, contemplating her position as merely one of Gu Yechen's women. Having lived for decades, Qin Lan could easily perceive the subtle shifts in Zhang Yun's demeanor. She grasped Zhang Yun's hand and inquired, "Is there something on your mind?" "Qin-ma, please don't put Zhang Yun in a difficult position. I actually have quite a few women, so let us not question her." Gu Yechen shrugged nonchalantly. Upon hearing this, Qin Lan swiftly reached for a coat hanger, preparing to unleash a flurry of admonishments upon Gu Yechen. "Qin-ma, please don't hit Xiao Chun. This is my own choice," Zhang Yun hurriedly interjected, fearing for Qin Lan's leg. "Look at how wonderful Xiao Yun is, yet you still seek other women." Qin Lan expressed her displeasure, believing such behavior to be unjust and unfair to all the women involved. Chapter 186. Children's Quarrel. Rest assured, Qin-ma, I cherish all the women in my life and will treat them with utmost care, Gu Yechen declared, his tone resolute and his gaze earnest. He merely wished to provide a home for the women beside him. He had committed no wrongdoing. Qin Lan shook her head in resignation, sighing, "My dear child, do not be too greedy." After a brief conversation, Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun stood to leave, as he intended to take her for a leisurely stroll. "Stay for dinner this afternoon," Qin Lan suggested, looking at the charming pair before her with eyes full of hope and affection. Gu Yechen nodded in agreement. "Of course. It has been some time since I visited the orphanage." A smile illuminated his face, as if he were transported back to the carefree days of his youth. As they exited the room, Gu Yechen led Zhang Yun through the orphanage, recounting amusing anecdotes from his childhood. "I often used to search for bird nests in that tree," he said, pointing to a grand old tree in the yard. Towering and majestic, its branches were lush and verdant, seemingly holding countless memories of his childhood. Zhang Yun listened with a smile, her heart swelling with newfound understanding of Gu Yechen's past. Her gaze was filled with tenderness and curiosity, eager to delve deeper into his world through these stories. At that moment, a small boy came running and accidentally fell, his eyes brimming with tears. On the verge of a breakdown, his tiny form lay helplessly on the ground, evoking a sense of compassion. Gu Yechen hurried over to help him up, gently reassuring. "Brave little man, don't cry. Be courageous, all right?" His voice was soft yet firm, imbued with encouragement and care. The boy nodded, wiping his tears as he declared, "Brother Chen, I want to be a man like you." With that, he bravely scampered away with tiny steps. Zhang Yun watched this scene, her affection for Gu Yechen deepening. She could sense the kindness and gentleness within him, an irresistible charm. Just then, Qin Lan emerged, leaning on her cane. Upon seeing her, Gu Yechen rushed over. "Qin-ma, what is the matter?" His eyes were filled with concern, having noticed the anxious look on her face. "Xiao Chun, could you do me a favor? Please visit Longqing Primary School," Qin Lan pleaded, her voice tinged with urgency and unease. "What's wrong?" Gu Yechen sensed something was amiss, his brow furrowing slightly, a twinge of foreboding rising within him. "Xiao got into a fight at school. I heard he was beaten," Qin Lan replied, her tone frantic. Worry filled her gaze as her grip on the cane tightened. "Do not worry. I will head there immediately," Gu Yechen assured her. He turned to Zhang Yun, saying, "Yun'er, please keep Qin company while I resolve this issue. I will return shortly." Without waiting for a response, he turned and left for his car. At Longqing Primary School, the atmosphere in the office was tense and oppressive. Xiao, who stood before a female teacher, his face marked by defiance and resilience, his clothes somewhat disheveled. Another child stood in front of his parents, wearing a smug expression. "Teacher Li, we cannot overlook this incident. He must face serious consequences. Otherwise, how can we trust our children to study here?" A woman interjected, adorned in fine jewelry, her tone sharp and arrogant. "However, we have reviewed the surveillance footage. You all understand the situation. Why place the blame solely on Xiaohu? That is hardly fair, the teacher replied, her face flushed with indignation at their unreasonable stance. We don't care about that. You must expel this unruly child who has no parents, the woman continued, her words striking Xiaohu like daggers. The teacher's expression darkened at this remark. How can you speak of a child in such a manner? He deserves dignity and respect. She retorted, anger coursing through her. Upon hearing the term wild child, Xiaohu felt a surge of anger and was about to confront the woman when Teacher Li intervened. Oh, you wish to resort to violence? A man beside the woman sneered, his eyes filled with menace, as if ready to teach Xiaohu a lesson. Expulsion is the only acceptable resolution. Otherwise, do not blame me for resorting to violence, the man threatened, his tone intimidating. Teacher Li's face grew increasingly troubled. Having taught for many years, she had never encountered such unreasonable parents. What you are doing is wrong. Just because you possess power and wealth does not give you the right to bully a child, she asserted, her voice trembling. At that moment, Gu Yechen entered the office. What is happening here? His voice was deep and commanding, instantly capturing everyone's attention. Xiaohu's eyes welled with tears as he called out, Brother Chen. Gu Yechen approached Xiaohu, gently patting his shoulder, then turned to the parents, saying, let us discuss this civilly. Bullying a child is hardly an achievement. The woman scrutinized Gu Yechen with disdain, retorting, and who might you be to interfere in our affairs? Gu Yechen smirked, swiftly delivering a resounding slap, declaring, if you insist on coercing me into physicality, so be it. I am Xiaohu's brother, and I shall see to this matter today. Furious, the woman lunged forward. But the man restrained her, realizing Gu Yechen's audacity. Yet, he could not resist provoking Gu Yechen further. What can you possibly do? He taunted. Unperturbed, Gu Yechen replied. I have gathered the details. The surveillance shows your child instigated the conflict, while Xiaohu acted in self-defense. Instead of educating your child, you seek to shift the blame onto Xiaohu. That is utterly unacceptable. The parents' expressions shifted. They had not anticipated Gu Yechen and Appo's understanding of the situation. The woman challenged. Even so, what of it? We have money and connections. What can you do about it? Money and connections do not grant you license to act as you please. I shall report this to the school authorities. Should you remain obstinate, I will not hesitate to pursue legal action. If the law fails to hold you accountable, I will personally ensure you face consequences, Gu Yechen stated coldly. Upon hearing the mention of legal action, the parents exchanged incredulous glances. The man scoffed. Then go ahead and see if your threats hold any weight. Gu Yechen, unyielding, advanced swiftly and delivered a punch that felled the man instantly. Realizing the gravity of the situation, the man hastily said, Brother, let us discuss this amicably. Gu Yechen replied, there is nothing to negotiate. Either you remove your son from this school, or I will ensure you are entirely removed. Choose wisely. Ultimately, under Gu Yechen's unwavering stance, the parents begrudgingly apologized to Xiaohu. The child transferred schools, while the subsequent events remained uncertain. Nevertheless, Gu Yechen took the initiative to assist Su Hu and others. But that was a tale for another time. In the office, Teacher Li expressed her gratitude. Thank you. Without your intervention, I do not know how we would have resolved this. Gu Yechen replied, Teacher, you are too kind. Xiaohu is a good child. He must not be wronged. The teacher nodded in agreement, having always defended Xiaohu, albeit with limited influence. Gu Yechen departed from the school with Xiaohu, imparting a heartfelt lesson. Xiaohu, in the future, do not act impulsively when faced with challenges. Learn to resolve issues in a proper manner. First, attempt to reason with them. If they refuse to listen, then take action, provided you notify the principal and others beforehand. Xiaohu nodded and replied, Brother Chun, I understand. Upon returning to the orphanage, Qin Lan and Zhang Yun, upon seeing their return, felt an immense weight lifted from their hearts. How did it go? Was the matter resolved? Qin Lan inquired with concern. Gu Yechen smiled and said, It's all settled. Xiaohu is fine now. Chapter 187. The aspiration to establish a foundation after finishing their meal. Gu Yechen and Zhang Yun departed. The fading sunlight cast a warm golden hue around their figures. Once they entered the car, Gu Yechen opened the convertible roof, and a gentle breeze caressed them, bringing a sense of comfort. The soft light illuminated their faces, rendering the moment of parting exceptionally beautiful. Initially, Gu Yechen intended to spend the night at the orphanage. Yet considering the charity gala scheduled for the evening, he decided otherwise. A trace of regret flickered in his eyes, as it had been several days since his last visit. And he knew that his future would be increasingly busy, leaving little opportunity for return. Are you heading home, or to the company? Gu Yechen inquired with a smile, his expression imbued with an intriguing charm that beckoned curiosity. I'll go to the company. I've already taken enough time off. Zhang Yun replied, a subtle smile playing on her lips. Her smile was like a gentle spring breeze, each curve perfectly poised, radiating an enchanting allure. Very well, Gu Yechen said as he grasped Zhang Yun's hand. His touch was warm and firm, conveying a sense of security, as if by merely holding her hand. The storms of the world were rendered inconsequential. After escorting Zhang Yun to Shui Weixian, He placed a soft kiss upon her lips before driving away. That delicate kiss, akin to a dragonfly skimming the water's surface, was imbued with profound affection. The fleeting contact was like a brilliant meteor streaking through the river of time, illuminating Zhang Yun's heart in an instant. Only after watching Gu Yechen's car disappear from sight did Zhang Yun finally enter the hotel. Her gaze lingered on the departing vehicle, filled with longing and anticipation, as if the car had taken not just Gu Yechen's form, but a fragment of her very soul. "Sis, are you all right?" Zhang Ze exclaimed, dashing towards Zhang Yun with a look of concern etched upon his features. "I'm fine. Last night, Yechen saved me," Zhang Yun replied, reverting to her demeanor as the aloof female CEO. Her voice was cold yet resolute, as if donning a mask of strength once more. "I knew my brother-in-law would come through," Zhang Ze responded with a grin, his expression brimming with trust and admiration for Gu Yechen. "Did you tell him?" Zhang Yun asked, her surprise evident. Her brother had finally done something commendable. A flicker of astonishment danced in her eyes, realizing her brother could be so astute at a critical moment. "Of course. I saw someone trailing your car and immediately called brother-in-law," Zhang Ze declared, patting his chest as if seeking her praise. His face radiated pride. For this was no trivial matter. "How well are you adjusting now?" Zhang Yun asked, her tone somewhat stern. Her piercing gaze seemed capable of unraveling Zhang Ze's innermost thoughts, rendering him unable to afford any semblance of laxity under her scrutiny. "Don't worry, I won't hinder your romance with brother-in-law." Zhang Ze shrugged nonchalantly, his tone lighthearted, attempting to ease the atmosphere. "Romance?" Zhang Yun mused, a smile creeping upon her lips at the thought of Gu Yechen. In that fleeting moment, her heart brimmed with sweetness and happiness, the sweetness akin to morning dew nourishing her spirit, while the happiness resembled warm sunlight illuminating her world. Yet, she quickly adopted a serious demeanor. "My relationship with Yechen is merely contractual. Do not speak of it indiscriminately," Zhang Yun asserted, her voice turning grave and frigid, trying to mask her true emotions, though the slight tremor in her tone betrayed her. "Oh, come now. I just saw your eyes practically following brother-in-law," Zhang Ze chuckled mischievously, deliberately teasing his sister. Zhang Yun felt an urge to scold him. She wished to disown this brother who incessantly sabotaged her, lacking the maturity one would expect of a university student. If only he possessed a fraction of Gu Yechen's qualities, she would be overjoyed. "Sis, how are things progressing with brother-in-law? Have you discussed marriage or anything of the sort?" Zhang Ze inquired, his eyes sparkling with curiosity and anticipation, as if awaiting a groundbreaking revelation. Zhang Yun was momentarily lost in thought upon his question. With so many women vying for Gu Yechen's attention, all more exceptional than she, did she even have the right to hope? Her heart was heavy with insecurity and confusion, shackled by self-doubt and obscured by a thick fog that obscured her future path. Seeing his sister in contemplation, Zhang Ze instantly regretted bringing up the subject. "Currently, I am uncertain. However, it seems unlikely. Chun has his own aspirations, and besides me, there are many others in his life. As long as I can be by his side, I will be content," Zhang Yun replied, her tone tinged with melancholy. Her voice exuded a sense of helplessness and disappointment, much like a fallen leaf adrift without a home. Zhang Ze, witnessing his sister's sorrowful expression, felt a pang of discomfort. "Sis, don't think that way. Brother-in-law undoubtedly has feelings for you," he reassured her, his voice filled with encouragement and warmth, hoping to offer her a glimmer of solace. Upon hearing Zhang Ze's words, Zhang Yun regarded him with pride, saying, "Feelings? That's an understatement. Chun dedicates himself wholeheartedly to the women he cherishes, and naturally, I am among them." A faint blush adorned her cheeks, brought forth by her affectionate thoughts of Gu Yechen. Zhang Yun felt a surge of pride, for Gu Yechen had promised to take her to Kyoto. "Sis, you are so talented and beautiful. Brother-in-law must adore you even more," Zhang Ze exclaimed, his smile genuine, hoping to uplift her spirits. "That matters little. As long as Gu Yechen is well, that's all I care about," she replied, unable to escape the constant thoughts of him. Zhang Yun's heart was filled with longing and affection for Gu Yechen. As long as she knew he was safe, she felt content. "Enough of this. Focus on performing well at the company and avoid causing me trouble. I don't want others to think you lack the capability to manage, if it comes to that. I won't hesitate to let you go." Zhang Yun redirected the conversation, her tone serious and earnest, hoping her brother would devote his energies to his work. "Understood, sis. You can rest easy. I'm no longer a child," Zhang Ze replied, his eyes shining with determination, eager to prove his worth to his sister. Then, with a cheeky grin, he added, "Sis, you're eager to help brother-in-law manage his affairs, aren't you?" Before Zhang Yun could respond, he darted away, leaving her in a state of bewilderment. Returning to her office, Zhang Yun settled into her chair, yet her thoughts drifted to Gu Yechen. Memories of their time together flooded her mind, evoking a mix of emotions. Those cherished recollections played out like a film in her mind, bringing forth smiles and frowns, yet her heart remained sweetly buoyed. Meanwhile, Gu Yechen was busy preparing for the evening's charity gala. He was deeply aware that this event was not merely a social gathering, but a crucial opportunity to aid children in impoverished mountainous regions. He was determined to establish a foundation in the future dedicated to assisting families in dire need. Gu Yechen drove towards Qinyan Group, intending to meet Jiang Qingyan. Chapter 188. The Unruly Gu Yechen. Jiang Qingyan was engrossed in reviewing documents in her office, where the previously looming issues of the Jiang Corporation had significantly improved. Her brow furrowed slightly as she concentrated intensely on the papers in her hands, perceiving the world around her as nothing but a sea of dense data and obscure text. Her slender fingers delicately turned the pages, her gaze intense and resolute. Gu Yechen entered the room, and upon seeing Jiang Qingyan and Apos' exquisite visage, he instinctively swallowed hard. Her beauty radiated like the brilliant stars in the night sky, impossible to overlook. Every detail, from her finely sculpted features to her fair complexion, and her cascading locks resembling a waterfall, captivated Gu Yechen completely. "Sister," Gu Yechen called out, his voice imbued with tenderness, as though this single utterance conveyed 1,000 unspoken words. "Xiaochun, what brings you here?" Jiang Qingyan beamed upon noticing Gu Yechen, setting aside her documents to embrace him. Her movements were graceful and fluid, brimming with profound affection for him. "I missed you," Gu Yechen replied with a playful smile, his eyes sparkling with love and mischief. Resembling a child seeking his sister's affection, an image that evoked amusement. "You rascal," Jiang Qingyan playfully chided as she noticed Gu Yechen's gaze wandering over her, a blush creeping onto her cheeks from the intensity of his stare, which seemed to pierce through her very being. She turned to return to her desk, her steps light, yet tinged with a hint of fluster. Gu Yechen deftly grasped her small hand, pulling her gently toward him. Jiang Qingyan instinctively leaned into his strong chest, her heart racing wildly like a startled deer, her breath quickening, creating a palpable tension between them. "Can't you see I'm busy?" Jiang Qingyan said, her voice tinged with shyness. It bore a playful reproach, yet it could not conceal her joy, the slight tremor in her tone betraying her excitement and nervousness. "Sister, money is endless." Gu Yechen boldly pressed his lips against hers. His kiss was both assertive and tender, as though he wished to melt her into that moment. His breath enveloped her, leaving her with no escape but to succumb to the depths of their passionate kiss. Jiang Qingyan was momentarily taken aback, but soon began to reciprocate. She clung tightly to his neck, fearing he might vanish, as if time itself had come to a standstill, leaving only their synchronized heartbeats and breaths. They parted after 2.5 minutes. "Sister, will you accompany me to the charity gala tonight?" Gu Yechen caressed Jiang Qingyan's cheek, sending shivers down her spine. His voice was deep and magnetic, laced with allure, rendering it impossible for her to refuse. "What charity gala?" Jiang Qingyan inquired, her eyes filled with curiosity, sparkling like twinkling stars, eagerly anticipating his explanation. "It's an auction for various items, with proceeds going to children in the mountainous regions, just a way to contribute to their welfare," Gu Yechen explained. "Of course, I'd love to. I would do anything for you," Jiang Qingyan blurted out instinctively, only to have her words silenced by Gu Yechen's lips. "From now on, do not utter such things," Gu Yechen said gently after releasing her, his eyes filled with concern and affection, forbidding her from voicing any self-deprecating remarks. Jiang Qingyan felt a surge of happiness. Although Gu Yechen belonged to a different world, their serendipitous encounter was a testament to their fateful connection. "Sister, how is the progress on the body enhancement elixir?" Gu Yechen asked, his gaze filled with genuine concern and anticipation. "Old Fan and the others are conducting research. Preliminary results are in, but it may take some time before it's ready for use," Jiang Qingyan replied, her eyes reflecting a hint of fatigue, yet more so a glimmer of hope for the future. "That's impressive. It's remarkable that you've achieved preliminary findings so quickly." Gu Yechen expressed his astonishment, clearly impressed by the scientific community in this world. A smile of admiration graced his face, pride swelling for the efficiency of their team. Time flew by, and before they knew it, it was already 5:30. "Sister, it's time to clock out." Gu Yechen twirled Jiang Qingyan around, grabbing her handbag as he prepared to leave. His movements were lively and eager, reminiscent of a child yearning to explore the wonders of the world. "I'm hungry. Let us grab a bite first," Jiang Qingyan said, patting her stomach as she looked at Gu Yechen, her eyes sparkling with anticipation, appearing utterly adorable. "Absolutely." In the restaurant, the ambience was delightful. Soft lighting cascaded over the dining table, creating a warm and romantic atmosphere. Gu Yechen and Jiang Qingyan sat across from each other, enjoying their meal. "Sister, I've heard the dishes here are exceptional," Gu Yechen said with a smile, his eyes brimming with eagerness. "Yes, the environment seems lovely," Jiang Qingyan replied with a slight nod, a gentle smile gracing her lips. "Sister, I need to visit the restroom," Gu Yechen announced after glancing at Jiang Qingyan. "Go ahead. Don't hold it in. Others will blame me," Jiang Qingyan teased, her eyes sparkling with mischief, a playful glimmer lighting her features. "Tonight, I'll take care of you." Gu Yechen leaned in close to Jiang Qingyan, his voice low and suggestive. Jiang Qingyan's cheeks flushed crimson, even her ears blushing with embarrassment. You rogue, hurry along. She playfully scolded, giving him a gentle push. As Gu Yechen departed, two men approached Jiang Qingyan from a distance. Beautiful lady here alone? It must be so boring. How about we keep you company? The two men, tall and lanky, had an unappealing demeanor, their eyes brimming with lewd intentions, evoking disgust. I'm sorry, but I'm not alone. If you have nothing of importance to discuss, I kindly ask you to leave, as you are disrupting me, Jiang Qingyan replied politely. Her voice was calm and assertive, showing no signs of being affected by their rudeness. What's the harm? We can offer you a far more pleasurable experience. Care to try? One of the lanky men continued, their crude remarks causing Jiang Qingyan's expression to darken. Anger flickered in her eyes, her beautiful face now radiating authority. Leave. Jiang Qingyan and Appo's voice cut through the air with chilling clarity, momentarily stunning them into silence. Her tone was as frigid as ice, sending shivers down their spines. Wow. Such a figure, such beauty, and such a temper. I like it. One of them exclaimed, reaching out to grasp Jiang Qingyan. A scream pierced the air as the very man who had attempted to seize Jiang Qingyan suddenly collapsed to the ground, writhing in agony. Chapter 189. Tang Mi is injured. Jiang Qingyan glanced at the newcomer and exclaimed, Tang, what brings you here? Her autumn-like eyes were filled with surprise, her finely crafted features shifting slightly in astonishment. She had not anticipated Tang Mi's arrival at this moment. Akin to a ray of dawn breaking through the darkness, unexpected yet profoundly reassuring. Tang, my duty is to ensure your safety. Wherever you are, there I shall be. It was indeed Tang Mi who had intervened. In the past few days, she had grown quite close to Jiang Qingyan and Ning Xinxue, forming a bond akin to that of sisters. Tang Mi's voice rang out, crisp and resolute, infused with undeniable determination. Her gallant figure stood before Jiang Qingyan like a guardian angel, for she had received orders to protect Jiang Qingyan at all costs. Tang Mi's eyes blazed with fury as she glared at the two men. You two have some nerve, daring to harass her. Her gaze was fierce, as if it could unleash flames, threatening to consume the two audacious men entirely. Upon seeing Tang Mi, the two men suddenly perked up, completely forgetting the earlier confrontation. Hey there, little beauty. You're quite something. How about joining us for some fun? Their eyes glittered with lewdness, and their lips curled into sinister grins, viewing Tang Mi as merely a prize to be claimed. Without hesitation, Tang Mi lunged forward, swiftly incapacitating both men. Her movements were as agile as a leopard, rapid and forceful, leaving no room for counteraction. Still want to play with me? Who do you think you are? A murderous glint flashed in Tang Mi and Appo's eyes. Her tone frostier than winter's chill, as if the temperature around her had plummeted. Her voice sent shivers down the spine. At that moment, a dozen men approached Jiang Qingyan and her companions, their heavy, chaotic footsteps shattering the restaurant's tranquility. Big brother, the two men, who had just been taken down by Tang Mi, instantly revived upon seeing reinforcements. Their faces bore expressions of sycophancy and desperation, reminiscent of drowning men clutching at straws. The leader, a burly man adorned with tattoos of a great dragon, towered over the others. His grotesque visage resembled that of a demon risen from the depths of hell, instilling fear in all who beheld him. What is going on? The man demanded, his voice deep and gravelly, laced with menace. Big brother, look. One of the men pointed shakily towards Jiang Qingyan and Tang Mi, his hand trembling as he recounted their predicament. The burly man's eyes widened, fixating on Tang Mi, his mouth watering at the sight. A glance at Jiang Qingyan had him envisioning names for future children. His gaze was rife with greed and desire, utterly transparent. He attempted to advance towards Jiang Qingyan but was blocked by Tang Mi. Miss, could you do us the honor of joining us for a drink? He leered, his eyes fixated on Tang Mi, as if he wished to devour her whole. You are disrupting our meal. Kindly leave, Tang Mi replied, her expression darkening. Her voice was as cold as ice, imbued with an authority that brooked no dissent. Oh, the little lady has quite a fiery spirit, the burly man sneered, attempting to sidestep Tang Mi to reach Jiang Qingyan. In an instant, Tang Mi struck. Her fist was clenched, akin to a volcano on the verge of eruption. Gentlemen, if you wish to continue dining, please refrain from disturbing others, the restaurant manager interjected, his voice quivering with trepidation as he approached the burly man and his gang. What? Do you seek to challenge our Darkblade gang? The burly man growled, his tone dripping with menace, his fierce gaze rendering the manager pale with fear. Upon realizing they were facing members of the Darkblade gang, the manager retreated a few steps, his face a mask of helplessness and dread, as if confronting an insurmountable evil. Haha, at least you know your place. The burly man swung a punch at Tang Mi with brutal force. Tang Mi dodged, delivering a swift kick to his side, causing him to leap back in surprise. Miss, are you attempting to commit murder? He exclaimed, astonished by her quick reflexes. Brothers, let us take her down together. With a command from the burly man, his entourage surged forward. Despite Tang Mi's prowess, facing such a multitude proved overwhelming. Just as she confronted the burly man, one of his lackeys kicked her from behind, sending her sprawling forward, followed by a savage kick to her abdomen, drawing blood from her lips. Little Tang. Jiang Qingyan cried out in alarm, her voice laced with concern and urgency, her beautiful face etched with worry. Miss, you're quite the fighter. If it weren't for my training abroad, I might not have held my ground against you, the burly man chuckled, a smug grin spreading across his face, reveling in his perceived victory. Just as he seized Tang Mi's arm, she was sent flying by a powerful kick. Gu Yechen steadied Tang Mi, his voice a low, furious growl. What is happening? They intend to abduct Qingyan, and they are members of the Dark Blade Gang. Tang Mi replied, her expression grave as she clutched her abdomen. She felt the burly man's strength was comparable to that of a fifth-tier martial artist. They were evenly matched. Though pale, her resolve remained unyielding. Upon hearing the name Dark Blade Gang, Gu Yechen's countenance darkened instantly. He turned to face the group, his gaze sharp as a sword, seemingly capable of piercing their hearts. The burly man, suddenly alert, recognized the potential for profit. Gu Yechen, so it's you, he said, clapping his hands together, his face alight with avarice, as if he had stumbled upon a treasure trove. You know me? Gu Yechen and Apos' eyes were icy, his voice chilling like the winds of the polar regions, sending a shiver down the spine. Of course, you're worth a fortune, 1 billion. Eliminate you, and the money is mine, the burly man exclaimed, his voice brimming with excitement. Who knew I was worth so much? Gu Yechen sneered, his gaze laced with derision. Now, tell me, will you come with me willingly, or shall I slay you and take your head as a trophy? The burly man boasted, his eyes glinting with murderous intent. Gu Yechen chuckled. Do you truly believe you can? As soon as the words left his lips, he appeared beside the man, delivering a swift kick to his chest, sending him hurtling backward. His movements were lightning fast, leaving no time for reaction. Chapter 190. Shattered. The burly man felt a wave of disbelief wash over him. He never anticipated such a catastrophic defeat. He recalled their leader's words about Gu Yechen's average strength. Was this truly what he considered average? He had approached what he thought would be an effortless task, only to find himself confronting an immovable obstacle. Is this the extent of your capabilities? Yet you dare to show your face? Gu Yechen remarked disdainfully, his voice icy and penetrating, as if it could freeze the very air around him. The henchmen, momentarily stunned by the sight of their leader being sent sprawling, quickly regained their composure and charged towards Gu Yechen with reckless abandon, like a surging tide. In a flash, Gu Yechen maneuvered through the crowd, each strike accompanied by a chilling scream. His movements were as swift as lightning, ghostly in their execution, leaving the henchmen utterly incapable of tracking his form. A bunch of useless fools, Gu Yechen bellowed, a formidable aura emanating from him that instilled fear in the hearts of the henchmen. This aura was akin to a tempest, suffocating them with its intensity. The burly man rose from the ground, his eyes filled with terror and rage. Gu Yechen, don't get too cocky. His voice trembled. Yet he endeavored to maintain a semblance of dignity. Gu Yechen regarded him coldly. I have nothing to discuss with your Dark Blade Gang. Today marks your demise. His gaze was resolute and frigid, akin to that of a deity of judgment. With that, Gu Yechen struck again, his speed and power amplifying. The burly man attempted to fight back, but he was utterly powerless before Gu Yechen. Each of his attacks was effortlessly neutralized, leaving him in an increasingly desperate state. The thought of harming Jiang Qingyan ignited an unquenchable fury within Gu Yechen. The burly man, resembling a wounded hedgehog, lay bloodied and battered, his visage hauntingly grotesque. Fear and despair etched across his face. He found himself unable to escape Gu Yechen and Apos' wrath. Around him lay his groaning subordinates, and despite the excruciating pain, the burly man struggled to rise, only to be knocked down once more by Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen looked down at him, his voice laced with disdain. You thought to lay a hand on my woman? His tone was calm, yet it carried an undeniable menace, as if his words emerged from the depths of hell, causing the burly man and Apos' very soul to tremble. We were merely joking, the burly man managed to utter. Realizing the gravity of his situation, he feared that even their leader would be no match for Gu Yechen. In his desperation, he resorted to this feeble excuse in hopes of sparing his life. I am not in the mood for jokes, Gu Yechen proclaimed, delivering a swift kick to the man's groin. The sound echoed like the shattering of an egg, followed by a piercing scream that reverberated through the air, leaving bystanders bewildered by his agony. Blood oozed from the man's injury, rendering him utterly incapacitated. Fainting from the pain, the burly man collapsed. Gu Yechen dialed Su Hu, who relished such affairs. Upon arriving and recognizing the Dark Blade Gang members, he swiftly apprehended them all. Gu Yechen turned to assist Tang Mi, seating her beside Jiang Qingyan, and softly reassured them. It's all over. Do not be afraid. His voice was gentle, almost enchanting, momentarily captivating Tang Mi. He saved me. Tang Mi gazed at the handsome young man before her, feeling an unfamiliar flutter in her heart, a blend of gratitude, admiration, and a hint of infatuation. Thank you, Achen. Jiang Qingyan expressed, her eyes brimming with appreciation, soft as flowing water, as if they could envelop Gu Yeqing. Mr. Gu, you are truly remarkable. Tang Mi feigned composure. While her heart raced tumultuously, she struggled to steady her breath, concealing her inner turmoil. Gu Yeqing knelt before Tang Mi, gently placing a hand on her abdomen, inquiring softly, "Does it hurt?" His tone was tender, as if he were cradling the most precious treasure in the world. Observing Gu Yeqing's actions, Jiang Qingyan smiled subtly, sensing that he might be developing feelings for Tang Mi, which she found delightful rather than envious. Having spent the last few days together, she had come to understand Tang Mi to some extent. Tang Mi was taken aback by Gu Yeqing's affectionate gesture, her entire being frozen, her cheeks flushed, trembling with a sensation she had never experienced before. For someone as innocent as her, Gu Yeqing and Appo's actions were nothing short of earth-shattering. "And no, it's fine," Tang Mi stammered. Unable to meet Gu Yeqing's gaze, her voice wavering. Her heart raced like a wild deer, nearly leaping from her throat. "Let us go," Gu Yeqing said, leading them away from the restaurant. His vehicle was a two-seater, accommodating only one passenger. Thus, Tang Mi instinctively stepped back, knowing her duty was to protect Jiang Qingyan. Realizing she could not accomplish this alone, she understood that without Gu Yeqing's timely arrival, the consequences would have been dire. Gu Yeqing drove Jiang Qingyan to purchase 2 evening gowns, one black and the other red. He was particularly fond of the black one, which exuded an air of cool elegance and uniqueness. Upon returning to Ning Qianshui's residence, they found her absent. Glancing at the clock, Gu Yeqing noted it was already 6 o'clock. He had initially intended to indulge in some intimate moments with Jiang Qingyan, but decided to postpone those plans. Jiang Qingyan changed into her gown in front of Gu Yeqing, and they had long since abandoned any pretense of modesty. When she donned the black dress, Gu Yeqing was momentarily mesmerized, swallowing hard at her breathtaking beauty. Not even a celestial being could rival her allure in his eyes. "How do I look?" Jiang Qingyan inquired nervously, her gaze tinged with anticipation as she instinctively adjusted her skirt. "Dear sister, you look absolutely stunning tonight," Gu Yeqing exclaimed, stepping closer. Admiring her from every angle, she appeared flawless, even her hair was perfect. His eyes brimmed with astonishment and admiration. Flushed by his compliments, Jiang Qingyan playfully chided, "You're incorrigible." Though she feigned annoyance, her heart swelled with joy. Which woman wouldn't relish being praised by the man she adored? Gu Yeqing gently grasped Jiang Qingyan's hand, declaring, "Come, my goddess. Tonight, you shall be the center of attention." Jiang Qingyan smiled softly, nodding in agreement as they stepped out of the house together. Gu Yeqing parked his car in a designated area reserved for those heading to the Star Sea Lake Central venue. Taking Jiang Qingyan's hand, they boarded a yacht where they were given masks to conceal their eyes and noses. Even with such masks, they remained the focal point of attention, handsome and beautiful. A match made in heaven. The yacht was exclusively for attendees heading to the lake center, and several others were present. At that moment, someone caught sight of Jiang Qingyan, their eyes widening in astonishment. They had never encountered such a stunning woman before. Despite the mask, her elegance was undeniable. At the charity gala, the lights dazzled, and luminaries gathered. The entrance of Gu Yeqing and Jiang Qingyan instantly captivated the crowd. Though masked, they stood apart from the rest. Jiang Qingyan smiled gracefully, while Gu Yeqing confidently embraced her waist. "Ladies and gentlemen, first and foremost, we thank you for attending this charity gala. All funds raised tonight will be donated to children in impoverished rural areas across the nation," the host began. "Tonight, we will commence with a dance gala. You may choose your dance partners at will, provided they consent." Upon hearing the host's announcement, the guests were filled with a sense of intrigue. Understanding the purpose of the masks, Gu Yeqing looked at Jiang Qingyan, smiling knowingly, as they were undoubtedly meant to be paired. As the music began to flow, Gu Yeqing extended his hand to Jiang Qingyan, and together they began to revel in the dance. As the melody concluded, Jiang Qingyan had barely settled into her seat when she was approached for a dance, completely disregarding Gu Yeqing. However, all invitations were met with refusal. At that moment, Chapter 191, the Liu family of the capital. A masked man approached Jiang Qingyan, extending his hand and inquiring, "My dear lady, may I have the honor of requesting a dance with you?" His voice was deep and resonant. The man wore a dark blue mask that obscured his eyes, adorned with intricate and mysterious patterns. He exuded an air of sophistication akin to that of a noble from the West. His tall stature and graceful movements radiated an innate elegance, and despite the mask, his striking features were apparent, with the subtle contours of his face adding to his enigmatic allure. "My apologies, but I do not dance with others," Jiang Qingyan replied firmly, her voice clear and resolute, devoid of hesitation. A polite, yet distant smile graced her lips, and her gaze did not linger on the man. "Is it because of him?" The man cast a derisive glance at Gu Yeqing, his tone laced with condescension. His gaze pierced through Gu Yeqing like a sword, imbued with scrutiny and provocation. Viewing him as an inconsequential adversary, this man hailed from the Liu family, one of the 4 prominent families of the capital. Born with a silver spoon, He was greatly cherished by his older brother and sister, and his family catered to his every whim. He had grown accustomed to a life of unparalleled luxury and glory, always surrounded by admirers and the sensation of having everything within his grasp. Having traveled from Kyoto to Shanghai City for business, he fortuitously stumbled upon a charity gala, where he encountered Jiang Qingyan, a woman radiating ethereal beauty. He had first laid eyes on her as she boarded the yacht, and while he was surrounded by numerous attractive women, none possessed the same captivating aura as Jiang Qingyan, which instantly drew him in. It was the first time a woman had piqued his interest. Typically, women pursued him. "I must insist you show restraint, sir," Jiang Qingyan stated calmly, her demeanor unyielding. Yet there was an unmistakable aura of distance. Her gaze was as tranquil as still water, yet it exuded an imperious dignity that deterred anyone from approaching too closely. "Beautiful lady, my name is Lu Fei, from the Lu family of Kyoto. I wonder if you might grant me the pleasure of your company?" Upon receiving Jiang Qingyan's rejection once more, Lu Fei's smile faltered slightly, though he maintained an air of composure, subtly wielding the influence of his family as a veiled threat. His voice rose a notch, attempting to leverage the family's reputation to compel Jiang Qingyan to comply. The atmosphere in the room shifted palpably as those present fell silent. Though the Lu family ranked fifth among the 5 prominent families, their power was beyond the reach of ordinary families. The mere mention of their name carried weight, especially when compared to their status in other cities. A tense silence enveloped the gathering, with eyes darting between Lu Fei, Jiang Qingyan, and Gu Yechen, as the guests speculated on the impending developments. Upon hearing the man's introduction, Gu Yechen narrowed his eyes and rose slowly. His movements were deliberate and steady, radiating an undeniable pressure akin to that of a superior. "Sir, regardless of your surname, she is my woman. I advise you to harbor no intentions, or I cannot guarantee your safe departure from Shanghai City." Gu Yechen was unfazed by Lu Fei's status. Even if he were the king himself, Gu Yechen stood resolute. His voice was frigid and unwavering, akin to a storm in the depths of winter, sending chills through the onlookers. The crowd gasped in shock at Gu Yechen's bold declaration, a wave of sympathy washing over him for daring to confront someone from the Lu family. The Lu family's influence was not to be trifled with, and Gu Yechen's words were a direct affront. Lu Fei momentarily froze, finding the situation amusing. Even in the capital, few dared to speak to the Lu family in such a manner. Even the foremost family, the Si family, would tread carefully, as the dynamics of powerful families were intricate and interconnected. A smirk crept onto his lips, revealing his disdain. "Very well. You are indeed the first to speak so boldly to a member of the Lu family," Lu Fei replied with a faint smile, though his eyes harbored a sinister glint, and his tone carried a chill. His gaze seemed capable of piercing through the soul, casting an unsettling aura. As he turned to leave, he shot a final smile at Gu Yechen, saying, "I hope you cherish the few days you have left, for she will still belong to me, and I shall take good care of her." His voice lingered in the air, thick with menace. Jiang Qingyan and Appo's expression darkened instantly, fury igniting in her beautiful eyes. What was the Lu family to her? She grasped Gu Yechen's hand tightly, offering him her unwavering support and trust. Lu Fei narrowed his eyes upon hearing Jiang Qingyan's words, declaring, "Soon, you will understand the true power of the Lu family." With that, he departed, a smile still playing on his lips. Gu Yechen contemplated Lu Fei's remarks, already devising a strategy. The man before him was as good as dead. Even if he were a dragon from the Lu family, he would be brought low in Shanghai. "Qingyan, have no fear. You will not last long," Gu Yechen reassured Jiang Qingyan, a fierce glint in his eyes. The gala continued, yet the atmosphere grew increasingly oppressive. Whispers circulated regarding the earlier confrontation, and the crowd cast sympathetic or concerned glances toward Gu Yechen and Jiang Qingyan. Gu Yechen led Jiang Qingyan to a secluded corner. "Qingyan, Lu Fei will not relent, but with me by your side, I will ensure he cannot harm you in the slightest," he spoke softly. Jiang Qingyan nodded slightly. "Yechen, I trust you. Yet, the Lu family's power is formidable. We must remain vigilant." "Humph, what of the Lu family? Should they dare to threaten my woman?" "I shall make them pay dearly," Gu Yechen retorted, already formulating a plan of action. If they wished to strike, he would take the initiative. Jiang Qingyan felt a surge of emotion at Gu Yechen's words, having heard of the Lu family's might. The air was thick with tension throughout the charity gala, with everyone sensing that Gu Yechen and Appo's troubles were far from over. The auction was about to commence. A woman adorned with a mask stepped forward, announcing, "Ladies and gentlemen, our auction will begin shortly. Please proceed to the auction area according to your designated numbers." Gu Yechen glanced at the woman, noting her exquisite figure and beauty, though she was no longer in her original form. Thus, she was not his target. Besides, he was selective in his pursuits, for he knew the consequences of indiscriminate choices. The woman nodded, and 2 male security guards opened a large door. "Please, proceed," she gestured. Chapter 192. Lu Fei is deceived, buying gloves for 50,000. As the crowd entered the auction hall, They felt as if they had stepped into a fantastical realm, illuminated by dazzling lights. Gu Yechen's initial reaction to the scene before him was one of awe. The space was immense, approximately the size of 4 basketball courts. Brilliant lights cascaded from the ceiling like countless falling stars, bathing the entire auction hall in a radiant glow. The floor was adorned with luxurious carpets, each step taken eliciting a sensation of softness and comfort. Gu Yechen's seat was in the VIP box on the second floor, a privilege reserved for those with considerable financial means and reputable companies. He ascended the staircase, and upon entering the box, his view expanded to encompass the entirety of the auction hall. In the distance, he noticed Lu Fei also seated in a VIP area, indicating that Lu Fei was not without influence. However, as this was a charity auction, Gu Yechen had no intention of making a grand display. He would be content simply to outsmart Lu Fei. A slight smile graced his lips as he privately schemed. Jiang Qingyan sat beside Gu Yechen, her beauty accentuated by the opulent surroundings. To his right rested a small bronze bell, an object Gu Yechen was quite familiar with. Several masked female attendants flitted about the room, their graceful movements reminiscent of butterflies dancing amidst blossoms, adding a unique charm to the tense auction atmosphere. At that moment, the box door swung open, and a masked man entered, exclaiming, "Brother Gu, you are here too." He removed his mask to reveal a handsome face, his bright and deep-set eyes sparkling with a gentle smile. Upon recognizing the newcomer, Gu Yechen reciprocated the smile and replied, "Su Xiao, I didn't expect to see you here." The visitor was none other than Su Haoran from the Su group, who had initially not recognized Gu Yechen but was struck by the resemblance. The Su family had always participated in such charitable events to aid children in impoverished mountain regions. Su Haoran paused, glancing curiously at Jiang Qingyan, and inquired, "And who might this be?" His eyes conveyed both intrigue and admiration. "This is my girlfriend," Gu Yechen stated with a smile. His gaze filled with warmth and pride as he gently took Jiang Qingyan's hand. After Su Haoran greeted Jiang Qingyan, he departed, as they were not in the same box and thus could not remain together. Upon hearing Gu Yechen refer to her as his girlfriend, Jiang Qingyan's heart raced with excitement. It was the first time he had expressed such a sentiment. Sensing her subtle shift in demeanor, Gu Yechen reassured her, "Do not worry. You belong to me." Was this a confession of love? Jiang Qingyan felt a tremor within her heart and nodded in response. In the distance, Lu Fei observed the interaction between Gu Yechen and Jiang Qingyan, his anger simmering as he could only gaze at such beauty without tasting it, prompting a vow to ensure Gu Yechen would not win anything. Ladies and gentlemen, we now present our first auction item. This scarf has been handcrafted by a child from a relatively underdeveloped mountainous region. Though it is not expensive, it is a labor of love, crafted stitch by stitch. The starting bid is $10,000. All proceeds will be directly sent by the government to the children's families in the mountains. As the host's voice faded, murmurs of excitement filled the room. While 10,000 might seem steep, it was a substantial sum for the children in need. 10,000. Gu Yechen rang the bell beside him, offering the base price with unwavering confidence. "Mr. Gu bids 10,000. Is there any further interest?" 20,000. Lu Fei interjected, raising his bid by an additional 10,000, his tone laced with provocation, seemingly eager to compete with Gu Yechen. Number 35. The host noticed a middle-aged man in the audience holding a sign marked 35. 25,000, the man declared, his voice steady and resolute. Gu Yechen chose not to continue bidding unless Lu Fei decided to challenge him further. He narrowed his eyes, studying Lu Fei's reaction. Seeing his bid surpassed, Lu Fei's expression darkened, his brows furrowed in displeasure. 30,000, he growled, his voice strained and reluctant. 50,000. Suddenly, Su Haoran from the adjacent box entered the fray, his voice booming and generous, displaying his magnanimity. "Mr. Su from box 5 bids 50,000. Is there any higher offer?" The host beamed, thrilled at the escalating bids. Knowing that the auction would provide warmth to many children, Lu Fei glared at Su Haoran, recognizing the name and realizing he dared to oppose him. The crowd began to murmur, noting that a pair of gloves had already exceeded the expected price. 50,000. This is quite a generous offer from Su Xiao. The competition today will surely be fierce. Will Mr. Lu continue to raise his bid? Lu Fei sat in his box, his expression stormy as he weighed whether to bid further. Gu Yechen remained relaxed. He was indifferent to who ultimately won the item, merely intrigued by Lu Fei's reactions. Jiang Qingyan gently squeezed Gu Yechen's hand, saying, "Regardless, this is all for the children." Gu Yechen nodded, assuring her, "Rest assured, I have it all under control." At that moment, the host called out, 50,000 once, 50,000 twice, 50,000 3 times, sold. Just as the host was about to finalize the sale, Lu Fei abruptly increased his bid. 150,000. Gu Yechen raised an eyebrow, chuckling softly. I knew he would not back down. After a moment of silence from the adjacent box, Gu Yechen declared, 300,000. The crowd gasped in disbelief. No one expected Gu Yechen to make such a bold move for what seemed like a trivial item. 500,000. Lu Fei, seeing his price undercut, quickly raised the stakes. This time, Gu Yechen remained silent, allowing Lu Fei to claim the gloves. Damn it. Lu Fei realized he had been deceived, having spent 500,000 on a pair of gloves. Congratulations, Mr. Lu, for successfully bidding 500,000 for a pair of gloves. The host's voice rang out, and Lu Fei was left speechless, having intended to outsmart Gu Yechen, but finding himself outwitted instead. Next, we present our second auction item. The female host's voice echoed, drawing everyone's attention upward. Chapter 193. The acting skills of Gu Yechen. Soon after, the second item was brought up for auction, a painting. As the scroll slowly unfurled, the scene appeared like a window to a celestial realm, captivating all who beheld it. This exquisite landscape painting, crafted by a renowned artist, showcased delicate brushwork and profound artistic conception, with an opening bid set at 200,000. The host's voice resonated throughout the spacious auction hall, imbued with passion and allure. 200,000. Lu Fei was the first to bid, seemingly eager to regain his earlier dignity. His tone was urgent and resolute, as if the painting were already his possession. 201,000. Gu Yechen responded, deciding to engage Lu Fei in this spirited contest. His voice remained steady, laced with a hint of calm and composure. 250,000. Before the host could utter another word, Lu Fei raised his bid without hesitation. His eyes sparkled with determination, as if he were issuing a challenge to Gu Yechen. 300,000. Gu Yechen continued to engage. He assessed the painting with a discerning eye, recognizing its maximum value to be 1,300,000. Knowing that the artist had put it up for auction to donate the proceeds to various mountainous regions. He was fully aware of the situation, but feigned nonchalance as he sparred with Lu Fei. The bids climbed steadily, intensifying the atmosphere. Each increase was akin to a stone cast into a tranquil lake, sending ripples of excitement throughout the hall. Su Haoran observed the fierce competition from a nearby booth, shaking his head with a smile. His gaze reflected both admiration for the heated contest and a sense of detached calm. Ultimately, Gu Yechen brought the price to 2 million. The landscape painting was ultimately secured by Lu Fei for 2,300,000. Lu Fei cast a triumphant glance towards Gu Yechen's booth, seemingly reveling in his victory. A smile crept across his lips, his eyes brimming with pride and arrogance. Do you really think you are worthy of competing with me? Lu Fei laughed, relishing the sight of Gu Yechen appearing to falter. His laughter echoed in the air, filled with taunt and disdain. Yet Gu Yechen remained unfazed, for he understood the true worth of the painting and recognized that Lu Fei was merely inflating the price. He was aware that more enticing items lay ahead, ready to ensnare Lu Fei in a trap of his own making. His face retained its calm facade, while his mind schemed for the next move. One after another, items were showcased, and the atmosphere in the auction hall grew increasingly fervent. Each piece ignited rounds of fierce bidding, with the attendees and oppos, enthusiasm roaring like a blazing fire, ever more intense. The next item was an antique porcelain piece from the Qing dynasty, dating back to the Yongjing period, remarkably well preserved, with an opening bid of 1 million. The host's voice rose again, high-pitched and fervent, rallying support for this precious item. Gu Yechen chuckled and rang a copper bell, declaring, 5 million. His voice was resolute, capturing the attention of everyone present in an instant. Lu Fei, who had previously lost over 20 million to Gu Yechen, was momentarily pleased with his earlier triumph. However, upon hearing Gu Yechen's audacious bid of 5 million for the porcelain, he quickly countered, 6 million. With this bid, Lu Fei cast a provocative glare at Gu Yechen, determined to intercept whatever Gu Yechen desired, wanting to showcase his prowess to Jiang Qingyan. His eyes radiated desire and determination, as if this had transcended a mere auction and evolved into a battle for dignity. Unbeknownst to him, Gu Yechen regarded him as nothing more than a jester. Gu Yechen could discern the true value and authenticity of the item, leaving him unconcerned about other factors. Internally, he chuckled at Lu Fei's gradual descent into the trap he had meticulously devised. 6 million. Mr. Lu bids 6 million. Is there a higher offer? The host's voice rang out, exhilarated and slightly trembling from the excitement of the fierce competition. 6 million, going once. 6 million, going twice. The host's voice stretched longer, attempting to incite further bidding from the crowd. Lu Fei felt assured of his position. I and Amp, Oppos, VE outsmarted Gu Yechen again. His face gleamed with satisfaction, and he envisioned victory on the horizon. 7 million. At this moment, Gu Yechen interjected. Lu Fei and Amp, Oppos' expression darkened instantly. He assumed Gu Yechen, being young and presumably lacking substantial funds, would not dare to challenge him. However, he was taken aback by Gu Yechen's audacity. Just as Lu Fei contemplated countering, an elder behind him cautioned, Third young master, this item isn't worth such a price. There is no need to continue bidding. The elder's voice was deep and steady, striving to maintain Lu Fei and Oppos' composure. Uncle Zhang, it's fine. I simply want to put that kid in his place. This amount is inconsequential. Moreover, if I back down now, won't that make the Lu family appear weak? Lu Fei replied, his smile tinged with stubbornness and defiance, completely disregarding the elder's counsel. Uncle Zhang sighed, choosing not to press the matter further. Having watched Lu Fei grow, he understood that once Lu Fei made up his mind, he would not be swayed. Save for rebukes from his older siblings. He shook his head helplessly, harboring unspoken worries. 7 million, going twice. The host announced, his voice drumming like a relentless heartbeat, igniting the nerves of every attendee. 10 million. Lu Fei struck the bell, his voice laced with anger, directly challenging Gu Yechen. A slight smirk crept onto Gu Yechen's lips, though he feigned irritation, rising to glare at Lu Fei. The sight of Gu Yechen's apparent fury brought Lu Fei immense satisfaction. However, beside Gu Yechen, Jiang Qingyan struggled to suppress her laughter, fearing she might burst into giggles. She marveled at Gu Yechen and Appo's impeccable acting skills, nearly losing her composure. Pointing at Lu Fei, Gu Yechen seemed to convey, just wait. His finger trembled slightly, as if suppressing a torrent of rage. Light it up. Gu Yechen's voice rose, booming through the auction hall like thunder. 15 million. Gu Yechen declared, his fury palpable as he fixed an intense glare upon Lu Fei. The crowd gasped at Gu Yechen's audacity to bid such an exorbitant amount for a porcelain piece, deeming it utterly unreasonable. Their faces reflected astonishment and confusion as they murmured among themselves. Lu Fei reveled in the sight of Gu Yechen's ire. Seeing him light up the bid only confirmed that Gu Yechen was determined to possess the item. Thus, Lu Fei felt compelled to prevent Gu Yechen from succeeding. Light it up. Lu Fei echoed, matching Gu Yechen's fervor, eager to engage in this contest, vowing that Gu Yechen would not claim even a single piece. My goodness. To witness a bidding war like this again is astonishing. The last time was ages ago, someone exclaimed, their voice brimming with excitement and anticipation. Who would have thought that young Master Lu would also light it up? This is going to be quite the spectacle. Chapter 194, Luffy's deceptive plight again. It appears that young Master Lu is destined to emerge victorious this time, particularly since he has the backing of the illustrious Lu family from Kyoto. The young man with the surname Gu is unlikely to pose a significant challenge. Whispers filled the air as onlookers expressed their intrigue, reveling in the unfolding drama. However, their skepticism regarding Gu Yechen and Appo's prowess stemmed from the formidable reputation of the Lu family. The fragmented murmurs coalesced into a buzzing background noise within the auction house, with curious eyes darting between the private booths of Lu Fei and Gu Yechen, brimming with anticipation. The only contenders from the younger generation who could rival young Master Lu appear to be Shi Cheng Yuan from Shanghai City and Gu Yechen, someone softly remarked, their tone laced with uncertainty and speculation. Indeed, the Shi family's influence is unquestionable, and Shi Cheng Yuan's capabilities are commendable. Gu Yechen, too, possesses formidable strength, having rapidly ascended to prominence at a young age, and he manages several companies. It seems that during the previous auction, Gu Yechen had engaged in a fierce bidding war. Another individual chimed in, admiration evident in their gaze. Suddenly, a middle-aged man in his 40s spoke up. His voice was steady and resonant, instantly capturing the crowd's attention. All eyes turned towards him, filled with confusion and curiosity. Is it possible that he, too, bears the surname Gu? The man pondered aloud, furrowing his brow as he fixated on Gu Yechen's direction, deep in thought. Surely, that's a mere coincidence? There are plenty of people with the surname Gu in the world. It can't be that fortuitous. Someone beside him shook their head, skeptical of such a coincidence. As the discussion swirled, the auction continued. 15 million for the first time. The auctioneer announced, his voice resonating with a palpable tension. 15 million for the second time. His tone grew increasingly urgent, as if urging for a higher bid. 20 million. Just as the porcelain was about to be sold, Lu Fei interjected, deliberately stalling Gu Yechen's bidding as a means to revel in his impending failure. His voice brimmed with provocation and pride, as if he could already envision Gu Yechen's defeat. 30 million. Gu Yechen feigned a furious shout, his gaze fixed on Lu Fei, eyes seething with a desire for vengeance. His expression was one of righteous anger and determination, hinting at a willingness to go to great lengths. Although Lu Fei relished Gu Yechen's ire, he couldn't help but feel the price was steep, given his limited disposable income. He clenched his fists, deliberating whether to push further, beads of sweat beginning to form on his brow, as he realized the item's worth was far less than the bid. His mind wrestled with conflicting desires, to undermine Gu Yechen while simultaneously fearing the escalating costs, for while the Lu family was affluent, the money was not his own. Gu Yechen, apparently anxious, was, in fact, acutely aware of the situation. His gaze remained locked on Lu Fei, scrutinizing every subtle expression and movement, waiting for his next reaction. 30 million for the first time. The auctioneer and Appo's voice rang out again, the tension intensifying. 30 million for the second time. Just as the auctioneer was about to bring down the hammer, Lu Fei made a decisive move, intending to deceive Gu Yechen once more by raising the bid to 35 million, and then withdrawing, relishing the chaos he would incite in Gu Yechen. He believed his scheme was infallible. 35 million. Lu Fei declared, his confidence unwavering. He glanced at Gu Yechen, feeling a mixture of pride and anxiety, suddenly realizing he might have fallen into Gu Yechen's trap. However, it was too late to retract his bid. As he anticipated, Gu Yechen responded with a smile, his expression brimming with a sense of triumph, as if everything lay within his grasp. In that moment, Lu Fei felt a surge of alarm. He finally recognized that he had been outmaneuvered by Gu Yechen all along. His complexion paled, eyes flashing with rage and regret. 35 million for the first time. The auctioneer and Amp, Appo's voice echoed, ringing like a warning bell in Lu Fei and Amp, Appo's heart. 35 million for the second time. Lu Fei clenched his fists, nearly grinding his teeth in despair. His mind racing. Quickly, bid again. Quickly. Yet, the outcome nearly induced him to choke on his own blood. 35 million for the third time. Sold. The auctioneer's gavel struck decisively. The sound resonated in Lu Fei's chest, plunging his heart into despair. Let us congratulate Mr. Lu for acquiring this exquisite porcelain piece from the Yongzheng period for 35 million. The auctioneer continued, his voice filled with joy and excitement. Yet it struck Lu Fei as particularly grating. Lu Fei's expression soured instantly, while Gu Yechen beamed with a victorious smile. The audience erupted into applause. Gu Yechen stood, applauding fervently. Realizing he had been tricked, Lu Fei's face darkened, anger simmering within him. That fury seemed poised to consume Gu Yechen entirely, yet at that moment, he felt utterly powerless. Congratulations, young Master Lu, on acquiring the porcelain. Gu Yechen remarked with a teasing tone, laced with sarcasm, further fueling Lu Fei's ire. Hearing this, Lu Fei resolved silently to make Gu Yechen pay dearly. Next came our final item for the evening. With the host's announcement, a box appeared on stage, seemingly containing a necklace. The box opened slowly, revealing a stunning necklace adorned with glistening gemstones, shimmering brilliantly under the lights. This is the Appo's, Heart of the Ocean Appo's, gemstone necklace. Meticulously designed by a world-renowned jewelry master, crafted from treasures of the deep sea, its value immeasurable. With exquisite craftsmanship and a unique design, it symbolizes eternal love and beauty. Only one exists in the entire world. Starting bid, 10 million, the auctioneer introduced. The crowd was instantly captivated by the necklace, murmurs of its unique value circulating among them. 10 million, Gu Yechen was the first to bid. Looking towards Jiang Qingyan, sister, I have a gift for you. Jiang Qingyan glanced between Gu Yechen and the necklace. Suddenly understanding, she smiled gently, saying nothing, simply planting a kiss on Gu Yechen's cheek. 11 million. Lu Fei followed suit without hesitation, seemingly intent on redeeming his pride with this final item. Anger caused him to forget his recent humiliation at Gu Yechen's hands, solely focused on retaliating. 12 million. Gu Yechen countered. The bid soared, rekindling the tension in the room. 15 million. Lu Fei gritted his teeth, calling out a high price. Gu Yechen furrowed his brow, lost in contemplation. Sensing Lu Fei's growing confidence, he began to hesitate. 16 million. Just as Lu Fei believed victory was assured, Gu Yechen raised his bid once more. Lu Fei and Appo's expression darkened, grappling with whether to continue bidding. 16 million for the first time. The auctioneer called. Lu Fei and Appo's heart raced, sweat beading on his forehead. 16 million for the second time. He took a deep breath, preparing to bid again, only to be halted by an elder behind him. Master, do not act impulsively. The elder advised softly. Lu Fei hesitated, suddenly recalling his prior humiliation at Gu Yechen's hands. Thanks to the elder's timely warning, he chose to withdraw from further bidding. 16 million for the third time. Sold. Congratulations to Mr. Gu for acquiring the Heart of the Ocean necklace. The auctioneer pronounced with authority. Thank you, Lu Fei, for your generous gift. This is indeed something I require. Gu Yechen cast a smile at Lu Fei, who glared back at him with intensity. Following the conclusion of the auction, the crowd began to disperse. Before departing, Lu Fei approached Gu Yechen and coldly declared, Gu Yechen, I will remember this debt. Unfazed, Gu Yechen replied with a casual smile, I am always ready for a challenge. He had already resolved to take action against Lu Fei, believing that the best defense was a good offense. Young lady, follow me. It is of no use to stay with him. Lu Fei attempted to say more to Jiang Qingyan, but Gu Yechen's fist swiftly intervened. Just as his punch was about to connect with Lu Fei, a frail hand grasped Gu Yechen and Appo's wrist, interjecting, young man, do not act impulsively. Gu Yechen was taken aback, surprised that his strike could be so easily intercepted. The elder released Gu Yechen's hand, allowing him to turn and leave with Jiang Qingyan. As they exited the auction house, Jiang Qingyan remarked with a smile, you truly managed to infuriate Lu Fei today. Gu Yechen, wrapping his arm around her shoulders, replied, what else could be done? He was being so arrogant. He needed to learn a lesson. The two departed in laughter, leaving Lu Fei seething with anger in their wake. Chapter 195, Be Gentle With Me. As Gu Yechen drove Jiang Qingyan home, the clock had already struck 11 at night. Their laughter and playful banter filled the car, creating a warm and delightful atmosphere. The city lights sped past the window, resembling a flowing river of stars. Upon arriving at the English manor, Jiang Qingyan found it hard to believe. Is this truly your home? With astonishment etched on her face, she, having been the president of the Jiang family, clearly understood the immense value of the English manor. A realm of luxury that most could only dream of. The realization that this was Gu Yeqing and Amp, Apos, residence filled her with awe and curiosity. Indeed. Come along, my dear. Gu Yeqing gestured gracefully, a warm smile illuminating his features, always patient and gentle with the woman he cherished. Stepping into the lavish living room, even Jiang Qingyan, who had seen much of the world, was taken aback by the opulence surrounding her, feeling a twinge of envy towards Gu Yeqing and Apos' newfound wealth. The sparkling crystal chandelier, exquisitely carved furniture, and priceless artworks adorning the walls left her utterly amazed. Well, look at you. I never imagined you were so wealthy. Jiang Qingyan glanced at Gu Yeqing, her eyes brimming with affection. Of course, just look at me. Gu Yeqing chuckled, patting his chest, for to him, such matters were inconsequential. Sister, would you like steak? A charming smile appeared on Gu Yeqing's lips, exuding a playful allure. Jiang Qingyan nodded, her heart lightened by his demeanor. As Gu Yeqing retrieved 2 sirloin steaks, his preference for the cut, due to its chewiness and richer flavor, became apparent. You can cook steak too. Jiang Qingyan approached, surprised at his culinary skills. Isn't it simply a matter of having hands? Gu Yeqing replied with a bemused shake of his head. And how well done should it be? His fingers gently brushed through her hair as he inquired. While he preferred his meat well done at home, he would typically choose medium or well done when dining out. However, at home, he enjoyed either well done or his own creation of medium well. Who says steak can and Amp, Apos, TB medium well? The Gu family and Amp, Apos' invention is medium well. Let an Amp, Apos' go with medium. Jiang Qingyan said shyly, stealing a glance at Gu Yeqing. As Gu Yeqing cooked the steak, Jiang Qingyan poured some red wine. Their roles were clear, and they moved in perfect harmony, without any hesitation. Time passed swiftly, and after savoring their meal, they each took a shower before retiring for the night. This marked Gu Yeqing and Amp, Apos' first time bringing Jiang Qingyan home, and he felt a flutter of excitement. Be gentle with me. A soft, playful voice broke the tranquil night, laced with a hint of shyness and anticipation, akin to flowers swaying gently in the night breeze. What could be unfolding? The moonlight cast a gentle, yet lonely glow upon the floor, as if the beautiful moon itself yearned for someone. The silvery beams, like delicate gauze, enveloped the room in a hazy, poetic ambience. The sounds within the room grew increasingly intimate. Suddenly, the moonlight was obscured by a passing cloud, as if the pure and radiant moon was shyly retreating into the mist due to the events unfolding within. A faint blush seemed to tint the clouds. Was the moon blushing as well? 2.5 hours later, they lay entwined in slumber. This night marked a turning point for Jiang Qingyan, who felt an overwhelming desire to wholly embrace Gu Yeqing. A radiant smile of satisfaction and happiness adorned her face, as she discovered an unprecedented sense of tranquility in Gu Yeqing and Apos' embrace. The following morning, while Gu Yeqing remained lost in dreams, Jiang Qingyan awoke first. Gazing at him tightly holding her, warmth flooded her heart. His embrace felt like the safest harbor in the world. However, the thought that Gu Yeqing came from a parallel world made her wonder, would there ever come a day when he might unknowingly depart? What would she do then? The realization that she could not bear to be without him flickered through her mind, casting a shadow of worry. Gently, Jiang Qingyan reached out and caressed Gu Yeqing's cheek, whispering, "Ah Cheng, I hope we can be together forever." Her voice was soft yet resolute, as if making the most sincere wish to fate. In his slumber, Gu Yeqing seemed to hear her, tightening his embrace around her. His breathing was deep and steady, as if responding to her heartfelt sentiment. This man, Jiang Qingyan stifled a giggle and then gracefully slipped from his arms, moving as lightly as a butterfly. She leaned down to plant a tender kiss on his forehead, her smile radiant like stars, seemingly capable of bestowing strength to anyone who beheld it. After freshening up, Jiang Qingyan prepared 2 sandwiches, 2 eggs, and 2 cups of hot milk. The kitchen was filled with the comforting aroma of food, the essence of home. "Good morning, sister." Gu Yeqing emerged from the elevator, rubbing his eyes, only to find Jiang Qingyan busy in the kitchen. His tousled hair added a casual charm to his demeanor. "Awake, are we?" Jiang Qingyan regarded him with tenderness, embodying the image of a devoted wife in her domestic endeavors, her eyes filled with love and care. "Indeed," Gu Yeqing replied, wrapping his arms around her from behind, enveloping Jiang Qingyan in a rush of his masculine essence, causing her heart to race. "All right, let us eat." Jiang Qingyan feigned calmness, though a blush crept onto her cheeks. At that moment, Gu Yeqing's phone rang. He frowned, recognizing it was a call from Su Hu. "Hello?" Gu Yeqing settled onto the sofa, crossing his legs, exuding an air of authority. "Brother Gu, it's me." Su Hu's tone was somewhat serious. "What's the matter, Tiger?" Gu Yeqing inquired, a hint of confusion creasing his brow. "We've tracked down He Fei." Su Hu's voice was flat, devoid of excitement. "He Fei? Gu Yeqing's curiosity peaked momentarily before recalling the man he had confronted at the banquet. I never imagined he could evade capture for so long. What is the situation? Same old place, he has tied up. Does Brother Gu want to handle it personally, or shall I take care of it? Su Hu chuckled, his tone light. It seemed He Fei had likely been hiding away under his father's watchful eye, only to sneak out this morning, only to be caught by Su Hu's men. Since we have nothing else to do, let us go. Gu Yeqing replied nonchalantly. I and Oppos, LL head over after breakfast. Just as Gu Yeqing was about to enjoy his meal with Jiang Qingyan, the doorbell rang. Chapter 196, Realization of Error? Too late. Gu Yeqing was momentarily taken aback. Who could it be so early in the morning? His mind filled with confusion, he furrowed his brow slightly, a flicker of wariness crossing his eyes. Jiang Qingyan was about to open the door when Gu Yeqing halted her with a swift and decisive motion, sensing something amiss. He retrieved a handgun from his space. Noting that it contained only a single bullet, his gaze turned serious and stern as he gripped the handle tightly, ready to act without hesitation if any trouble arose. After glancing at the surveillance camera by the door, he tucked the firearm away, puzzled by how Tang Mi had discovered his residence. A thought struck him, and he smiled wryly, remarking, "No wonder you are a soldier of the Huagua." His tone held a mix of admiration and resignation. Opening the door, he greeted, "Tang. The beautiful lady, why didn't you say earlier? You could have come in last night to rest." His face lit up with a warm smile, as if the earlier caution had never existed. Tang Mi felt an urge to scold him. What was the point of inviting her inside? Although she was exhausted from sleeping in the car, at least she wouldn't have to endure the sounds of others disturbing her rest. Every time Gu Yeqing and Jiang Qingyan crossed paths, something troublesome ensued, and she could hardly tolerate it. With Gu Yeqing present, however, Jiang Qingyan was unlikely to face any danger. At worst, she would merely receive a scolding from him. As Gu Yeqing welcomed Tang Mi inside, he inquired, "Have you eaten?" "My sister personally cooked. Many wish they could taste it." His voice brimmed with pride, as though it were the most exquisite cuisine in the world. "I've already eaten." "I came to pick up Qingyan," Tang Mi replied coolly. Her expression remained indifferent, seemingly unconcerned. Yet she felt an involuntary attraction to Gu Yeqing's laid-back demeanor and striking looks. "Show me your hand," Gu Yeqing said after finishing his meal. His gaze focused and earnest, leaving her no room for refusal. Tang Mi hesitated, puzzled why he wanted to see her hand. Yet, inexplicably, she extended her right hand onto the table. Gu Yeqing placed his fingers on her pulse. In truth, Gu Yeqing could discern her condition at a glance. But he merely sought the opportunity to make contact, without any ulterior motives. "Well, nothing serious," Gu Yeqing feigned nonchalance, a faint smile gracing his lips as if everything were under his control. "Sis, I have matters to attend to, so I'll be leaving. Please close the door when you go." He pecked Jiang Qingyan on the cheek and turned to depart. That audacious little rascal. Jiang Qingyan felt a flush of shyness. Though it was nothing significant, it still affected her. A light blush appeared on her cheeks, reminiscent of the evening glow on the horizon. "Qingyan, did something happen last night?" Tang Mi observed Jiang Qingyan with a teasing smile, suggestive of her thoughts. Although she hadn't experienced it herself, she had certainly heard tales. Tang Mi's words caused Jiang Qingyan's cheeks to redden even more as she retorted, "Were you eavesdropping?" "No, I just happened to overhear." Tang Mi chuckled. Jiang Qingyan wished to sink into the ground in embarrassment. Meanwhile, Gu Yeqing drove towards the warehouse. Inside the warehouse, He Fei had a gag in his mouth, rendering him speechless. All he could manage were muffled sounds. He gazed at the figures before him, entirely shrouded except for their eyes, and felt a wave of dread wash over him. Had he known, he would not have ventured out. His eyes brimmed with fear and regret, his body trembling uncontrollably. He Fei's father had kept him confined at home, fearing someone would target him. Yet, despite his father's warnings, He Fei had ventured outside. Now, his father's concerns had manifested into a grim reality, plunging He Fei into grave peril. In the presence of these men, He Fei finally understood the meaning of his father's restrictions. Regret lingered in his heart, but he knew he had brought this upon himself. Despair enveloped him, and he envisioned his tragic fate. Seeing He Fei struggle, one of Su Hu's subordinates removed the cloth from his mouth, growling, "Speak if you have something to say." His tone was coarse and impatient, irritated by He Fei's struggles. "Bro, let me go, and I'll give you 100,000. How about that?" He Fei whispered, his voice tinged with desperation and hope. The subordinate frowned, delivering a sharp slap that sent He Fei reeling, his face swelling and blood trickling from the corner of his mouth. "What do you think you are? How dare you try to bribe me?" His movements were swift and powerful, leaving He Fei dizzy and in pain. He Fei cursed himself inwardly. Had he known, he would have kept quiet. His eyes reflected suffering and helplessness as he silently endured. At that moment, Su Hu, also entirely covered except for his eyes, entered the room. Noticing the gag removed from He Fei's mouth and the swelling of his face, he raised an eyebrow in surprise. "What happened?" Su Hu inquired, his voice low and authoritative, sending chills down the spine. He tried to bribe me to let him go, so I slapped him. The subordinate replied gleefully, a proud smile on his face as if he had achieved something remarkable. Well done, Suhu praised, giving the subordinate a pat on the shoulder. His gaze shifting back to He-Fei with a glimmer of appreciation. Just then, the roar of a sports car echoed outside. Suhu recognized that Gu Yechen had arrived and stepped out to meet him, spotting Gu Yechen walking in. Suhu handed him a black outfit, saying, "Brother Gu. Were this so he won't recognize you?" His tone conveyed a hint of caution and concern. Gu Yechen shook his head, replying, "Just make sure you don't expose yourselves." His voice was resolute and confident, as though he had everything under control. He-Fei, having heard the sound of the sports car, turned his gaze toward the entrance. Upon seeing Gu Yechen saunter in with his hands in his pockets, he felt his heart plummet. He was acutely aware of his offense against Gu Yechen. His father had been trying to reach out to Gu Yechen to mend relations. But upon learning of the Water Moon Pavilion owner's involvement, no one dared to approach them. Former partners avoided him like the plague. Despair and fear filled He-Fei's eyes. He knew he was trapped with no escape. "Master Gu, I was wrong. Please spare me." He-Fei pleaded as Gu Yechen approached, his voice tinged with a whimper. Gu Yechen regarded him coldly, stating, "Now you know your error? It's too late." He-Fei trembled incessantly, begging, "Master Gu, if you spare me, I will be your loyal servant from now on." Unmoved, Gu Yechen reached for a nearby baseball bat. Chapter 197. The plight of He-Fei. Gu Yechen rested a baseball bat on his shoulder. A smile that was more mocking than genuine gracing his lips as he looked at He-Fei. "Aren't and Oppos, to you quite formidable?" he taunted. No sooner had the words left his mouth than he swung the bat with force, striking He-Fei's right leg. The sound of He-Fei's anguished scream echoed through the empty warehouse, a chilling and heart-wrenching cry that sent shivers down one's spine. Gu Yechen chuckled lightly, continuing, "Where and Oppos? Est that ferocity of yours? Didn't and Oppos, do you want to fight me?" His gaze was laced with derision and disdain, viewing He-Fei as nothing more than an insignificant insect. With a gesture towards Suhu, he ordered him to untie He-Fei, tossing him a baseball bat. "Come on, don't say I didn't give you a chance. I'm curious to see if you're truly formidable, or if I'll simply end you." His voice was icy and commanding, imbued with an authority that brooked no dissent. Gu Yechen's demeanor shifted, his eyes turning frigid as a palpable aura of murderous intent radiated from him, enveloping the space. Even Suhu, who had danced on the knife's edge for years, felt a tremor of fear in his heart. He understood that Gu Yechen was genuinely enraged, a fury that seemed capable of incinerating everything in its path. He-Fei, trembling as he grasped the bat, felt as fragile as a leaf in the wind, ready to be swept away at any moment. He had never encountered such a scenario. Usually, he would intimidate the weak, but facing a true adversary was beyond his capabilities. His face drained of color, his eyes wide with terror and helplessness. Gu Yechen shook his head, a hint of pity in his gaze. "Seeing you so arrogant earlier, I thought you could exchange blows with me. Turns out you're nothing but a waste." His words pierced like arrows, each syllable dripping with contempt. He-Fei's pallor deepened, devoid of any hint of blood. Without hesitation, Gu Yechen charged at He-Fei, bat in hand, his movements swift as lightning. He-Fei attempted to defend himself, but with a single clash, the bat slipped from his grasp, his hands throbbing with pain, the disparity in their strength glaringly evident. "Pick up your weapon. Do not make it easy for me to end you." Gu Yechen's voice boomed, reverberating through the air with a resonance that felt as though it could penetrate the soul. Startled, He-Fei suddenly perceived Gu Yechen as a harbinger of death, even now demanding he fight. Regret coursed through him. He lamented ever-provoking Gu Yechen. Yet, a flicker of hope lingered in his mind. Surely, Gu Yechen wouldn't dare to kill him, for the law in society was far more stringent than in times past. He reluctantly seized the bat once more, this time taking the initiative to attack Gu Yechen, swinging for his head as if wagering everything in a desperate gamble. However, his movements were clumsy, his footing unstable, his strength lacking. "I'll be kind and let you leave today," Gu Yechen remarked, shaking his head as he critiqued He-Fei, each word striking like a hammer at He-Fei's heart, leaving him momentarily dazed. He-Fei felt a surge of anxiety, for Gu Yechen's observations were painfully accurate. His secrets had been so effortlessly exposed, filling him with a mix of fear and humiliation, yet he could not bring himself to acknowledge Gu Yechen's prowess. "Stop talking nonsense." He-Fei feigned strength, though his voice trembled uncontrollably. "What dignity do you cling to at death and amp? Oppos, Estor." Gu Yechen chuckled softly, dashing forward in an instant. His speed was remarkable, and he soon stood before He-Fei, bringing the bat down with force. In a panic, He-Fei raised the bat to block the strike. But it shattered upon impact, the sound of splintering would echoing through the warehouse like the tolling of a death knell, resonating deep within He-Fei's psyche. Both ominous and soul-crushing. Gu Yechen followed through with a kick to He-Fei's chest, sending a spray of blood arcing through the air. He-Fei's vitality seemed to wane, his spirit crushed. Once a man accustomed to luxury, his indulgent lifestyle had left him ill-prepared for such a confrontation. In contrast, Gu Yechen was a peak-level martial artist. Even a half-hearted punch could extinguish the life of an ordinary man. Didn't you enjoy coveting my women? Gu Yechen loomed over He Fei. His eyes filled with profound disdain, a gaze that felt capable of penetrating He Fei's very soul. Were it not for He Fei's prior transgressions against him, Gu Yechen would have dismissed him entirely, leaving the matter to Su Hu. I was joking. He Fei stammered, fear evident in his voice. Now acutely aware that Gu Yechen was genuinely capable of murder, he found himself immobilized, his ribcage fractured from a single kick. Each breath a reminder of the agonizing pain that threatened his existence. Brother Gu, please spare me this once. I swear I won't dare again. He Fei's voice faltered. Barely a whisper. Who is your brother? You think you're entitled to a second chance? Did you not think before instigating this? Gu Yechen seized the bat and struck He Fei and Apos' already injured leg once more. This time, he showed no mercy, shattering the bone. The sickening crunch echoed ominously, sending chills through all who heard. He Fei and Apos' cries resounded anew, the pain nearly rendering him unconscious. Even Su Hu and his associates trembled at the sight of Gu Yechen's wrath, fearing they too might fall victim to his fury. Gu Yechen paused, surveying He Fei, now crumpled like a broken doll. Now, you may utter your last words. Perhaps I shall convey them for you. He smirked, adopting the guise of a gentle gentleman. As if all previous violence had never occurred, He Fei could only gaze at Gu Yechen in terror, unable to articulate a single word. Gu Yechen tossed the bat aside, remarking, how dull, not even a final farewell. He turned to Su Hu, instructing, finish him off completely. I do not wish to see him again. Su Hu nodded, a smirk playing on his lips as he looked at He Fei. Rest assured, brother, I will ensure your death is not too painful. With that, Su Hu ordered his men to drag He Fei into another room for the final act. Stepping out of the warehouse, Gu Yechen inhaled deeply, the flames of his anger finally beginning to subside. He was aware that in Su Hu and Apos' hands, He Fei would find mercy to be a distant hope. In this world, there would always be those who needed to learn a lesson, while Gu Yechen simply wished to live in peace, yet some deemed him an easy target, leaving him no choice but to fight. Sunlight bathed his face, and his expression gradually returned to calm, as if nothing had transpired. However, for those who dared to cross his boundaries, he would show no mercy. Inside the room, the sounds of suffering were relentless. Gradually, silence fell, as He Fei endured relentless torment for several minutes, ultimately reaching a point where pain ceased to register. Gu Yechen closed his eyes, reflecting, these men are truly ruthless. Unlike me, who has never taken a life. He transferred a sum of money to Su Hu and drove away, readying himself for his upcoming journey to Qingbei University, determined to consolidate all his companies into Feiwei Group beforehand. Chapter 198. Integration of Companies. Gu Yechen made a phone call to Qiao Ku, explaining the situation and instructing her to contact all relevant individuals, summoning them to the Yunding building, excluding those from the Shuyuexuan Hotel. He was preparing for a significant event. His voice resonated with determination and strength, as his mind envisioned the grand blueprint of the future, awaiting only the final pieces to come together. As he drove towards the Yunding building, the scenery outside raced by, yet his heart raced with increasing urgency, constantly devising the plan that was about to unfold. On the top floor, Xiaoku had successfully contacted everyone and prepared all necessary materials. Within the conference room, curiosity filled the air. No one understood the purpose of this gathering. Familiar faces whispered among themselves, their expressions a mixture of confusion and anticipation. Jiang Qingyan recalled Gu Yechen mentioning his ambition to establish a commercial empire. Perhaps this was part of his plan. She sat calmly, her demeanor serene, though her eyes betrayed deep contemplation. Assistant Xiao, did Mr. Gu mention why we were all gathered here? Someone inquired. Xiao Ku replied succinctly, Mr. Gu stated that he has urgent matters to discuss. I cannot elaborate further. You will understand once he arrives. Her voice was crisp and decisive, leaving no room for further questioning. This aligned with Gu Yechen's intention to keep the details under wraps until his arrival. Upon reaching the Yunding building, Gu Yechen parked in a designated spot in the underground garage and took the elevator directly to the top floor. The elevator dinged as the doors opened, and he stepped out with confidence, his stature commanding and his pace resolute, exuding an intangible force. Mr. Gu, you're here. Xiaoka happened to be outside and encountered Gu Yechen. How is everything prepared? He inquired with a smile, radiating confidence and calmness that invigorated those around him. Xiaoka gestured affirmatively, indicating readiness. Gu Yechen pushed open the conference room door, hands in pockets, striding with an aura that captivated everyone present. He resembled a sovereign arriving, instantly drawing all eyes towards him. Except for Jiang Qingyan and Su Yan, everyone else instinctively stood, as if reverently welcoming his presence. At that moment, Jiang Qingyan noticed Su Yan remaining seated, which piqued her curiosity. Seated at the head of the table, Gu Yechen scanned the room and addressed the attendees. Ladies and gentlemen, as heads of their respective companies, I wish to share an idea with you all. His voice was steady and powerful, resonating throughout the room. He smiled at the gathering and continued, most of you have a general understanding of who I am. Today, I intend to merge all my companies into the Feyue Group, gradually constructing a formidable commercial empire. Please feel free to express any requests or concerns. His tone was calm, yet each word resonated with authority. We at the Qinyuan Group have no objections. Jiang Qingyan responded promptly, which was expected, as she and Gu Yechen jointly held shares in the Qinyuan Group. The subsequent dilution of shares would ensure that the Feyue Group held 50%, with Gu Yechen retaining 27%, safeguarding the company from any external threats. Her voice was clear and resolute, reflecting her unwavering trust in Gu Yechen. We at the Su family beauty also concur. Su Yin expressed her support for Gu Yechen, her eyes brimming with affection and encouragement, as he was indeed her man. Following suit, the Gu Group and Hungrui Group also voiced their support, with all 5 companies affirming their stance. Gu Yechen promptly instructed Qiao Ku to arrange for the subsequent procedures, noting that the Yunding building would serve as their office after the merger. Once everyone departed, only 3 individuals remained in the office: Gu Yechen, Jiang Qingyan, and Su Yin. Gu Yechen scratched his head, suddenly at a loss for words in this tense atmosphere. Jiang Qingyan broke the silence, her voice warm and inviting. Hello, I'm Jiang Qingyan. And you are? She extended her hand towards Su Yin, her smile radiating kindness. Hello, I'm Su Yin. Su Yin felt relieved as Jiang Qingyan initiated the conversation, responding with a handshake. Jiang Qingyan's impeccable demeanor and beauty left Su Yin silently awestruck. When did you meet Ah-chun? Jiang Qingyan inquired, holding Su Yin's hand with genuine curiosity and friendliness, as if they were long-lost friends. Su Yin felt a bit shy, as if caught off guard. My company faced a betrayal that nearly led to its collapse. It was Ah-chun who reached out to me and provided an investment, and that's how we met. Su Yin's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, recalling the challenging times that filled her with gratitude for Gu Yechen. Don't be nervous, we're all sisters. Jiang Qingyan reassured her with a gentle smile. I've seen you in the news. You're the creator of Mei Yin Dan. Her tone was filled with admiration. Not entirely. It was Ah-chun who provided the formula. Without him, it would have been challenging for me to achieve this. Su Yin's tone shifted slightly, speaking honestly about her circumstances. Impressive, truly successful, Jiang Qingyan said, turning her attention to Gu Yechen. This guy is quite the hands-off manager, she added playfully, her words laced with affection. Upon hearing this, Su Yin grasped Jiang Qingyan's hand, feeling a sense of kinship. After all, Gu Yechen had always been aloof. A true hands-off manager. Indeed, he always is. Yet, it is precisely his trust and freedom that allow us to flourish, Su Yin concurred. Let us not dwell on him. We should communicate more as sisters and keep him in line, Jiang Qingyan suggested with a laugh. Absolutely. Su Yin joined in the laughter. The room soon filled with cheerful banter, and Gu Yechen observed the 2 women bonding, feeling a sense of relief and gratitude for the harmonious atmosphere he had cultivated. However, he had numerous other women to contend with, and such complicated scenarios were bound to arise. In those instances, he would have to assert himself firmly. Gu Yechen opened his laptop, preparing to take action against the Zhou family first, followed by the Shin family, aiming to complete these tasks within the coming days. Chapter 199. Infiltrating another's phone. Upon noticing a subtle shift in Gu Yechen's expression, Jiang Qingyan and Su Yin exchanged a glance of surprise. Jiang Qingyan gently pressed her lips together and inquired, "What's wrong?" Her voice was soft and laced with concern. "In a while, I will be heading to Qingbei University, and I will have to entrust the company to you. Before that, I have many matters to address. Otherwise, I might inadvertently cause you trouble," Gu Yechen replied indifferently, his gaze deep and revealing a hint of worry. "I almost forgot you were still a student," Jiang Qingyan chuckled lightly before adding, "I heard there was a conflict between you and the Zhou family?" A flicker of anxiety crossed her eyes. Gu Yechen nodded and turned to Jiang Qingyan with a smile. "He attempted to bully me, but his abilities were too lacking. I inadvertently incapacitated him, and the Zhou family has remained quiet since. They are likely plotting something. I must take the initiative." A sudden glint of murderous intent flashed in Gu Yechen's normally calm eyes, sending a chill down the spine. "At the summer banquet for the Xie family's daughter, you also clashed with Shin Yunchuan from the Shin family. I fear he won't let you off easily." Jiang Qingyan expressed her worries, echoed by Su Yin, who shared her concern regarding the notorious individuals they were discussing. Their brows were furrowed, anxiety palpable. "Fear not. The average person cannot contend with me," Gu Yechen reassured them with a light-hearted smile, attempting to ease their worries. His smile was carefree, yet the resolve in his eyes was unmistakable. "You must prioritize your safety. I cannot endure another blow like the last time," Jiang Qingyan insisted. Shaking her head and urging Gu Yechen to consider all aspects of his actions, her tone filled with affection and unease. Gu Yechen nodded and began typing on his computer, the rhythmic sound of keystrokes resonating in the still room. Jiang Qingyan and Su Yin, both academic achievers, immediately recognized the webpage Gu Yechen was on, though they were not well versed in such technicalities. "Are you attempting to infiltrate someone else's phone?" Su Yin couldn't contain her curiosity, her voice tinged with surprise. Gu Yechen turned abruptly towards Su Yin, startling her. You can understand this. I can grasp a bit, Jiang Qingyan replied, rolling her eyes at Gu Yechen, seemingly reproaching him for underestimating women. Indeed, I am infiltrating Zhou Zhixing's phone to uncover any damaging information that could ruin him, Gu Yechen stated earnestly, his focus unwavering as he scrutinized the screen. What do you plan to do? Su Yin and Apos' interest was piqued, her eyes sparkling with anticipation and curiosity. Gu Yechen playfully tapped her on the head, saying, silly girl, of course, I will expose him. He refrained from mentioning that he would resort to violence, as he had no intention of doing so. His gestures, while casual, carried a hint of intimacy. Gu Yechen proceeded to infiltrate Zhou Zhixing and Apos' phone, examining the contents meticulously. Jiang Qingyan and Su Yin watched closely from behind, their breaths becoming faint as they feared disturbing his focus. After a brief search yielding no immediate issues, Gu Yechen suddenly noticed a chat log referencing a problem with Zhou Zhixing's computer. Recognizing that most files would be stored there, he swiftly turned to access the computer directly. A smile crept across Gu Yechen's face as he seemed to discover something intriguing. Upon opening a file, a peculiar sound emanated, though no visuals appeared. He promptly closed it and turned to the two women behind him. Jiang Qingyan and Su Yan's cheeks flushed slightly, as if they had overheard something inappropriate. Gu Yechen rubbed his nose and said, ladies, perhaps it would be best if you stepped outside? He wished to shield them from any unsavory content. Blushing, Su Yan left. And Jiang Qingyan, equally flustered, admonished, avoid indulging in inappropriate content. With that, she too departed. Left in a state of bewilderment, Gu Yechen pondered. Wasn't I merely infiltrating Zhou Zhixing's computer? How did it come to this? I seem to be the victim here. Shaking his head, he mused, I have done nothing wrong. Yet this is the outcome. Just wait until I teach you two a lesson. He chuckled helplessly and returned his attention to the screen. Continuing his operations, Gu Yechen opened the previously accessed folder. The screen was dark, images absent, yet ambiguous sounds flowed forth. He found himself puzzled. Realizing that these recordings alone would not suffice as evidence unless accompanied by visuals sufficient to provoke action from the Zhou family. As he fast-forwarded, a sudden shock gripped him when the face of a woman appeared on his screen, moving in a suggestive manner. Gu Yechen averted his gaze, muttering, what is improper should not be seen. What is improper should not be heard. It became apparent that Zhou Zhixing was entangled with a woman in a compromising situation. The visuals scandalous enough to leave Gu Yechen speechless. After all, he considered himself a man of principles. Without hesitation, Gu Yechen copied all the videos from the computer, discovering a plethora of content featuring various women, including footage of several female celebrities being drugged and recorded. Should this information be made public? It would not merely tarnish Zhou Zhixing's reputation, but also implicate the women involved. This dilemma weighed heavily on Gu Yechen's mind. As he contemplated how to handle the footage for maximum impact, direct exposure could severely harm the innocent women, while withholding it would fail to deliver a significant blow to Zhou Zhixing. Furrowing his brow, he lightly tapped his fingers on the table, weighing the pros and cons in his mind. Ultimately, he resolved that all women featured would be obscured to protect their identities. For Gu Yechen, this task was as effortless as drinking water. At that moment, his phone chimed. Checking the screen, he found it was Xiao Ran. Hello, Xiao Ran. Gu Yechen replied in a light and carefree tone, devoid of any other emotions. Hey, are you busy? Xiao Ran, studying in her dorm, had not taken a part-time job since Gu Yechen generously provided financial support, allowing her to focus on her studies and strive for a better life for her parents through her own efforts. Not at all. My surname is Gu. You may call me Gu Yechen or simply Yechen from now on, Gu Yechen replied casually, revealing his preference against the live-streaming gift culture. Initially, he had incorporated it into his writing upon hearing it was a popular theme, but regrettably, it had devolved into a muddled mess that he now found impossible to rectify. Gu Yechen. Xiao Ran felt a flutter of nervousness, yet found the name particularly charming and distinct. Yechen, school starts in 10 days. When will you be coming to Qingbei? Xiao Ran asked with a sweet tone, imbued with an undercurrent of anticipation. Chapter 200, a brief moment from the exposure week. Did you miss me? Gu Yechen chuckled, his tone laced with playful teasing. His voice, emanating through the phone, possessed an enchanting quality that made Xiao Ran's heart race uncontrollably. I did not. Xiao Ran stammered, her cheeks flushed. Gu Yechen's inquiry rendered her exceedingly nervous. Was she really thinking about him? Surely not. Yet, why couldn't and Apos did she shake off the thought? Her heart was a tumultuous blend of conflict and anxiety, pounding as if it were desperate to escape her throat. She extended her left hand, gently pressing it against her heart, which thumped furiously, surpassing mere nervousness. The intensity of her heartbeat seemed to whisper the secrets hidden deep within her soul. Really? Gu Yechen and Apos' voice elongated, tinged with a hint of skepticism. Beneath his calm demeanor lay an imperceptible anticipation, as if he yearned to hear a definitive affirmation. Just a smidgen, Xiao Ran confessed, feeling a wave of embarrassment wash over her. She leaped onto her bed, clutching a teddy bear and tossing it about. How could she have said such a thing? Was this truly her? She had never been this forward. Her heart raced like a startled fawn, too shy to confront her genuine feelings. With a gentle laugh, Gu Yeqing said, "Well, I shall be visiting Qingbei University in a few days. I might arrive 2 days early." His voice was soft and kind, devoid of any airs of superiority. Of course, it depended on who was on the other end of the line. If it were a brutish man, he would have told him to scram without a second thought. "May I come to pick you up?" Xiaoran asked nervously, uncertain whether Gu Yeqing would decline. Her voice bore a cautious tone, her grip on the teddy bear tightening as she awaited his response. "I'll be going with 2 women. We will head straight to the university," Gu Yeqing replied nonchalantly, believing it prudent to inform her first. His tone was calm, seemingly unaware of the potential impact his words might have on Xiaoran. Upon hearing his statement, Xiaoran's previously joyous mood deflated. With a quiver in her voice, she asked, "Are they your girlfriends?" A sense of loss and unease enveloped her, akin to having lost something immensely precious. She was bewildered by her own question, realizing it had nothing to do with her, yet the mere thought unsettled her. A wave of discomfort spread through her, leaving her feeling disoriented. "Sort of. I have plenty of women around me. They are just 2 among many, yet I cherish my true love," Gu Yeqing chuckled, laying his cards on the table. For him, Xiaoran was not an absolute necessity. With his admission to Qingbei, he was not worried about the lack of female companionship. His words were casual, as if love was merely a game to him. Strangely, upon hearing Gu Yeqing's response, Xiaoran felt a sudden sense of relief. Gazing into the mirror, she questioned herself. "Xiaoran, what is wrong with you? You have never let any man affect you like this." Her eyes were filled with confusion and uncertainty, unable to comprehend her own reactions. "Perhaps I shall volunteer to see if I can encounter you," Xiaoran suggested after a brief pause, striving to maintain a calm tone, not wanting Gu Yeqing to sense the turmoil within her. "Sounds good. I have some matters to attend to now," Gu Yeqing replied with a smile. "Goodbye." Xiaoran beamed sweetly. Gu Yeqing settled into his chair, his fingers dancing across the keyboard with sharp focus, weaving a vast web of information. Only an hour later, the online world erupted in chaos. The catalyst was a series of videos that spread like wildfire, featuring none other than Zhou Zhixing from the Zhou family. The footage was shocking and incited a tremendous uproar. At that moment, Zhou Zhixing knelt before his grandfather, paralyzed with fear, uncertain of what his grandfather might do next. His face turned pale, sweat beading on his forehead, his body trembling slightly. "You disgraceful wretch. I instructed you to avoid trouble, yet not only were you injured, but now this scandal has surfaced online. Are you trying to plunge the Zhou family into peril?" Zhou Zhixing's grandfather thundered, his voice booming with fury and disappointment. "Grandfather, I put the video on my computer. There's no way anyone could have discovered it." Zhou Zhixing stammered, his voice quaking as he attempted to defend himself. "I suspect someone has tampered with my computer," Zhou Zhixing added nervously, bracing himself for the inevitable punishment that awaited him. Fear shone in his eyes as he awaited the judgment of fate. "If you had kept your nose clean, none of this would have happened." Zhou's grandfather raised the whip in his hand and struck Zhou Zhixing's back, tearing through his shirt. Zhou Zhixing remained still, his body tense, utterly bewildered as to who could have orchestrated this, and how they had managed to do so without detection. The sharp crack of the whip echoed in the room, sending chills down one's spine. "Regardless of your excuses, this is your fault. Now, our company's stock is beginning to fluctuate due to your actions. Do you wish for the Zhou family to live in constant turmoil?" After several strikes, Zhou's grandfather ceased, recognizing the futility of further punishment. He gasped for breath, dropping the whip, his eyes filled with helplessness and rage. As the online incident escalated, throngs of people rallied against the Zhou family's company, protesting outside and demanding explanations and apologies. Many were individuals who had fallen victim to Zhou Zhixing's charm, while others came to denounce and support. The company's reputation plummeted. Stock prices continued to fall, and partners began to reconsider their affiliations. The Zhou family found themselves engulfed in an unprecedented crisis. Zhou Zhixing and Apos, as father, upon hearing the news, rushed back from afar. "You ungrateful son, look at the mess you've created." Zhou's father berated as soon as he entered. With his head bowed, Zhou Zhixing remained silent. "We must find a way to restore the company's image, otherwise, we are finished," Zhou's father said, worry etched on his forehead. Zhou's grandfather, seated on the sofa, pondered for a moment before stating, "First, we shall issue a public apology, then we must engage a public relations team to mitigate the fallout, and perhaps expose some dirt on a few public figures." The Zhou family was in a flurry of activity, while Gu Yeqing, observing the swift downfall of the Zhou family from his office, mused, "This is merely the beginning." He continued to type, preparing to delve into the affairs of Zhou's grandfather and Zhou Zhixing's father, convinced that neither would escape unscathed. He was eager to see how they would respond. Chapter 201. The thoughts of the Zhou family. Zhou Zhixing remained kneeling on the ground, while the elder Zhou took a moment to sip tea, panting from exhaustion. Zhou Quan quickly assisted him, anxious that his father might inadvertently succumb to his fatigue. Worry etched on Zhou Quan's face. He gently patted the elder's back with utmost care. Father, I still suspect someone has infiltrated my computer, Zhou Zhixing expressed. His voice tinged with a sense of grievance and resentment, his gaze reflecting confusion. Do you know who it is? Why would someone do this? With whom do you have grievances? Speak everything. Zhou Quan's demeanor turned serious, a hint of anger simmering beneath the surface. His brow furrowed, his piercing gaze fixed intently on Zhou Zhixing. I don't know, Zhou Zhixing replied, kneeling in silence, feeling somewhat at a loss. As a victim himself, why was he forced to kneel? His heart brimmed with resentment, yet he dared not voice it. Taking a deep breath, Zhou Quan grasped the whip and declared, If you don't know, then what good is your talk? I have already sent someone to investigate, but there is nothing to uncover. With that, he lashed out, striking Zhou Zhixing's back without restraint. The sound echoed loudly, sending shivers down the spine of any who heard it. Now, confess to me, how many people have you offended? Zhou Quan bellowed, his voice resonating like a bell throughout the room. I don't know. I've never counted. Zhou Zhixing stammered, his words trailing off. Zhou Quan closed his eyes, exasperated. Not knowing how many enemies one has is a clear indication of having far too many. Was this now a form of retribution against the Zhou family? A wave of headache washed over him. This unworthy son had brought him too many troubles. Seated on the sofa, the elder Zhou inquired, What is your relationship with Gu Yechen? What exactly transpired during your last confrontation? Speak without holding back. The elder sensed that his grandson had concealed something significant during their previous encounter. His gaze was sharp, as if it could pierce through Zhou Zhixing's thoughts. Zhou Zhixing appeared troubled, and Zhou Quan raised his hand to strike him once more. Well, he blocked my path, so I. Zhou Zhixing's voice dwindled, his head bowing lower. So, you sought someone to beat him, and ended up with your limbs broken? Zhou Quan was taken aback. Not only had Zhou Zhixing resorted to violence, but he had also been countered so severely. The fact that even a 6th-tier martial artist like Kong Wu couldn't overcome the opponent was astonishing. His eyes widened in disbelief. Zhou Zhixing nodded slightly. Zhou Quan lifted the whip again, delivering another series of blows while chastising, You disgraceful wretch. It's one thing to fight, but to be beaten so badly? And you dare to deceive us? I swear, I'll beat some sense into you. Grandfather, father, I realize my mistakes, please stop. Zhou Zhixing curled up, his clothing tattered from the lashes, his body marked with blood streaks. His voice trembled with a plea for mercy. 3 years ago, you committed those acts against the young lady of the Qiao family, and now you've brought us trouble again. When will you ever mature? Zhou Quan lowered the whip, fatigue evident in his demeanor. He no longer wished to speak. He feared the Zhou family would one day be ruined by this son. Disappointment and helplessness filled his eyes, as he had lost all hope for him. Father, what shall we do now? Zhou Quan looked at the elder Zhou, anxiety etched across his face, awaiting his guidance. What do you think? The elder Zhou countered, his expression grave, his gaze deep, revealing nothing of his thoughts. Investigate who is orchestrating this from behind the scenes. Zhou Xing has always been fine. However, after offending Gu Yechen, such events unfolded. I believe there is a connection. Or perhaps, this incident was instigated by him. Should we seek reconciliation with Gu Yechen, or devise a strategy against him? Zhou Quan asked the elder Zhou. In truth, Zhou Quan felt that reconciliation was the better course. Gu Yechen was capable of executing such actions without a trace, indicating he was no ordinary individual. He either possessed significant capabilities or had access to top-tier hackers, as even their Zhou Group's IT personnel could not detect any traces of intrusion. As the owner of the Shuyuexuan Hotel and having acquired the Jiang and Mo groups, Gu Yechen certainly had no justification to trample upon the Zhou family. However, if they did not retaliate, where would their dignity lie? The elder Zhou's tone was resolute, filled with familial pride and honor. Zhou Quan paused for a moment, then said, Father, Gu Yechen's influence is formidable. A reckless counterattack could plunge the Zhou family into greater peril. Perhaps we should first send someone to make contact and gauge his stance. A peaceful resolution would indeed be beneficial for us. The elder Zhou snorted disdainfully. Are you cowardly? When has the Zhou family ever feared others? Zhou Quan hastily clarified, Father. It's not that I fear. Rather, the current situation is complex, and we must act with caution. This incident has already tarnished our family's reputation. Further impulsive actions could result in greater harm to our interests. The elder Zhou contemplated for a moment before stating, then arrange for someone to contact Gu Yechen and ascertain his intentions. But if he proves ungrateful, the Zhou family will not let it slide. Zhou Quan nodded and turned to leave. Zhou Zhixing remained kneeling on the ground, filled with fear and regret. Meanwhile, Gu Yechen, having learned of the Zhou family's movements, sneered, Zhou family, this is merely a minor lesson, and you already find it unbearable? Should this continue, won't you be doomed? Gu Yechen shook his head, seated in his office. He had a transparent teapot brewing dried tangerine peel, the boiling water releasing its fragrant aroma, the golden tea glimmering beautifully. Taking a sip of the tangerine peel tea, Its rich flavor and enticing fragrance brought Gu Yechen a moment of enjoyment. Just then, Xiao Ke knocked on the door and said, "Director Gu, the president of the Zhou Group wishes to see you." Gu Yechen paused momentarily, then smiled. "Have him come to the conference room." Xiao Ke acknowledged and departed. Gu Yechen shook his head, surprised at how swiftly the Zhou family had responded. He had anticipated a more drawn-out conflict. Although he lacked leverage over the head of the Zhou family, he did possess information on Zhou Quan. He had hoped for a longer game. After another sip of the tangerine peel tea, Gu Yechen donned his coat and proceeded to the conference room, eager to discern the Zhou family's intentions. He had no qualms about releasing another video. Chapter 202. The provocation of Zhou Quan in the conference room. Zhou Quan sat in his chair, flanked by two imposing bodyguards. He remained there, eyes closed in contemplation, his expression grave, as if pondering something of great significance. Gu Yechen opened the door and entered the room alongside Xiao Ke. Gu Yechen exuded calm confidence, his steps steady, while Xiao Ke followed closely behind, appearing somewhat anxious. Gu Yechen took his seat at the head of the table, with Xiao Ke standing behind him. Casting a glance at her, Gu Yechen said, "Xiao Ke, please take a seat." His voice was gentle yet firm. Xiao Ke, taken aback, felt unworthy of such a gesture. However, encouraged by Gu Yechen's reassuring gaze, she hesitated only briefly before complying, sitting at the first position to Gu Yechen's right. Facing Zhou Quan, Gu Yechen noticed Zhou Quan's displeased countenance, and internally, he reveled in this observation. A subtle smile tugged at the corners of his mouth, and a flicker of triumph danced in his eyes. "Mr. Zhou, I hear you sought me out. May I inquire as to the purpose of your visit?" Gu Yechen smiled warmly, a demeanor that felt like a refreshing breeze, concealing the true nature of his thoughts. His tone was relaxed, as if he had anticipated the Zhou family's arrival. Zhou Quan returned the smile, saying, "Mr. Gu, I must apologize for the incident involving my son last time. You have already taught us a lesson, and we have come to understand the situation fully. We were misled, and thus misjudged the circumstances. However, I hope you might extend your gracious hand and overlook my son's actions this time." Zhou Quan's tone was humble, his face adorned with a flattering smile. As he sought to gauge whether Gu Yechen was indeed the one behind the online rumors, Zhou Quan immediately adopted a subservient posture, which puzzled Gu Yechen. It was unusual for a corporate president to demean himself, especially in the presence of someone from the Zhou family. Gu Yechen speculated that Zhou Quan's actions harbored deeper motives. Narrowing his eyes, Gu Yechen replied, "My issue with him is one matter, and I have yet to settle scores with him, yet you dare to come here?" Gu Yechen perceived a hint of testing in Zhou Quan's tone and deftly denied any connection. His gaze sharpened, fixating on Zhou Quan, as he sought to unveil his true intentions. Upon hearing Gu Yechen's calm demeanor, Zhou Quan felt a twinge of confusion. He had assumed Gu Yechen would retaliate. So why was he denying involvement? Did Gu Yechen truly discern his thoughts? Could an 18-year-old possess such profound insight? Zhou Quan mused, questioning whether the blame lay elsewhere. Yet he remained guarded around Gu Yechen. No, Mr. Gu, my visit today is primarily to offer an apology. My son has always been this way. We have spoiled him, and he has lost his sense of boundaries. This incident serves as a lesson for him. Might we consider this matter resolved? Zhou Quan's gaze remained fixed on Gu Yechen, yet he felt unable to penetrate the young man's enigmatic demeanor. "Mr. Zhou, if someone were to strike you suddenly, seeking to ruin you entirely, what would your response be?" Gu Yechen asked, a playful smile gracing his lips, his eyes gleaming with mischief. His words were sharp, piercing into Zhou Quan's consciousness. Zhou Quan's expression darkened instantly upon hearing Gu Yechen's words, his dissatisfaction with Zhou Zhixing growing more intense. He resolved to administer further punishment upon his return. What must be done to let him go? Zhou Quan and Appo's tone shifted slightly, tinged with a hint of anger. His face clouded with frustration, impatience flickering in his eyes. Gu Yechen chuckled softly, stating, "Mr. Zhou, this matter will not be so easily dismissed. He attempted to take my life, and naturally, I must retaliate. I wonder who had the audacity to disseminate information about your son online. I truly wish to express my gratitude." A sly grin accompanied Gu Yechen's words, deliberately provoking Zhou Quan. At this moment, Xiao Ke could not suppress a laugh, but quickly stifled it, realizing she had overstepped. Gu Yechen and Zhou Quan turned their attention toward her, and she felt a wave of embarrassment wash over her as she nervously tugged at her clothes, fearing she had jeopardized her hard-earned position in a job she cherished. Her complexion paled, dread filling her heart. "What are you laughing at? What business do you have here?" Zhou Quan barked, pointing an accusatory finger at Xiao Ke before signaling to his bodyguards. His voice was harsh and menacing, as if he intended to devour her whole. One of the bodyguards lunged toward Xiao Ke, seemingly intent on teaching her a lesson for her laughter, which had embarrassed the Zhou family. The bodyguard charged with the ferocity of a wild beast. Witnessing this, Gu Yechen could not allow such insolence in his presence. How dare they attempt to strike his secretary before his very eyes? His expression turned icy, filled with fury. As the bodyguard swung his hand toward Xiao Ke, Gu Yechen swiftly kicked him away with tremendous force, Had he not tempered his strength, the man would surely have met a dire fate. The bodyguard flew across the room, crashing against the wall. What is the meaning of this, Mr. Gu? Zhou Quan erupted in anger, his face flushed, glaring at Gu Yechen. What's with the barking? Gu Yechen retorted, exasperated. His voice was cold as ice, laced with disdain. Do you think you can attack my people in my presence without consequence? Gu Yechen shot back, his gaze piercing, making Zhou Quan avert his eyes. Mr. Gu, it seems you wish to make an enemy of the Zhou family. Zhou Quan's demeanor shifted, adopting a subtly threatening tone. His voice dropped to a low, dangerous whisper, as if warning Gu Yechen against opposing them. What? The Zhou family sent someone to kill me last time. Have you forgotten, Mr. Zhou? Gu Yechen's eyes glimmered with menace, his expression hardening, as though he were prepared to confront the Zhou family to the bitter end. The atmosphere in the conference room grew unbearably tense, both sides poised for conflict. The other bodyguard behind Zhou Quan also stirred restlessly, while Gu Yechen stood resolute, ready to face any challenge head-on. Gu Yechen, Don and Appos, do you think you can refuse to heed my warnings? Zhou Quan shouted. Zhou Quan, do you believe I fear your family? Gu Yechen stood his ground unyieldingly. With a wave of his hand, Zhou Quan signaled for another bodyguard to charge at Gu Yechen. Chapter 203, You Madman. Gu Yechen gazed at the bodyguard charging towards him, a hint of amusement in his eyes. The bodyguard approached with a fierce momentum, launching a swift punch aimed at Gu Yechen's chest, accompanied by a whoosh of wind. Gu Yechen effortlessly sidestepped, his movements fluid and graceful, having anticipated this very maneuver. In a swift counter, he delivered a knee strike to the bodyguard and Appos' abdomen, causing the man to double over in agony, his face paling instantly. Gu Yechen pushed him aside, casting a disdainful glance. Useless, I thought you were formidable. Yet you are merely a waste. His tone dripped with contempt, as if he were addressing not a trained protector, but an insignificant being. Zhou Quan, witnessing Gu Yechen's effortless defeat of his two bodyguards, felt a twinge of shock. Yet, being no stranger to turmoil, he quickly regained his composure. His expression returned to normal, but his mind raced with calculations. Clap, clap, clap. Zhou Quan extended his hands in applause, continuing, No wonder Mr. Gu is so audacious. It seems he possesses genuine skill. Zhou Quan had garnered a semblance of understanding regarding Gu Yechen's prowess. His two bodyguards were no ordinary fighters, both being mid-level practitioners of the fourth tier, regarded as experts by common folk, and it was inconceivable for them to be vanquished by an ordinary individual. The only explanation must be that Gu Yechen was indeed superior. Mr. Zhou, it's your turn now. Gu Yechen smiled at Zhou Quan, his gaze reminiscent of a serpent poised to devour a chick, exuding an ominous chill that sent shivers down the spine. Zhou Quan and Appos' expression shifted slightly, although he doubted Gu Yechen would dare to strike him. He could not wholly dismiss the pressure he felt. Even after years of experience, a subtle tremor coursed through his body. I am the president of the Zhou group, the head of the Zhou family, and the future ruler of the Zhou group. Should you dare to lay a hand on me, you will bear the wrath of my entire clan. Zhou Quan, suppressing his tremors, regarded Gu Yechen with a grave demeanor. His voice quivered. Yet he endeavored to maintain an air of authority, convinced that Gu Yechen was merely attempting to intimidate him. However, Gu Yechen burst into laughter, saying, Mr. Zhou, have you forgotten? You were the one who attacked me first. Now you wish to threaten me? Or do you believe this city belongs to your Zhou family? His laughter reverberated through the conference room, laced with mockery. Suddenly, Gu Yechen's expression darkened, the warmth evaporating, and an imposing aura enveloped him, instilling a sense of dread. Even in the seasoned Zhou Quan, what do you intend to do? Zhou Quan managed to utter, his voice dry and beads of cold sweat forming on his forehead. Of course, I want you to see just how little I fear your Zhou family. Gu Yechen replied with a light chuckle, advancing slowly. Each step he took seemed to tread upon Zhou Quan's very heart. The two bodyguards, despite their pain, struggled to their feet to shield their employer. Are you too certain you want to stand in my way? I showed mercy before. If you do not step aside, you will meet your demise. Gu Yechen stated in a flat tone, as if discussing an inconsequential matter, yet to others, it rang like thunder splitting the sky. His voice was cold and merciless, akin to the decree of death itself. With each step he took forward, they retreated. Gu Yechen shook his head, declaring, I have given you a chance. It is your own negligence that brings this upon you. A glimmer of determination shone in his eyes. He turned to Qiao Ku, instructing, Close your eyes, little Ku. Do not open them no matter what transpires. His voice bore a hint of concern. Before Qiao Ku could comply, Gu Yechen had already deftly positioned himself before the two bodyguards. This time, he held nothing back. His strike was lethal and swift as lightning. Fear flooded the eyes of the bodyguards, who were unable to react before Gu Yechen snapped their necks. Qiao Ku, caught off guard, stood frozen, her mouth agape yet unable to utter a sound, as if time itself had halted. She never imagined that her composed and gentle employer would resort to killing, let alone two men. Fear gripped her heart. Zhou Quan, witnessing the instant demise of his bodyguards, trembled uncontrollably, his voice tinged with terror. Why, you actually killed them? He pointed a shaking finger at Gu Yechen, disbelief etched across his face. He had never encountered someone so decisively ruthless. Even the hidden martial forces in Xinhai City would not act so brazenly. Gu Yechen shrugged nonchalantly, stating, I offered them a chance. They squandered it. As I have said, your Zhou family means nothing to me. You believe yourselves formidable, but in my eyes, you are utterly insignificant. His tone was casual, as if he had merely performed a trivial act. You madman. Madman. Zhou Quan stammered, attempting to flee. Yet Gu Yechen effortlessly barred his path. He no longer dared to threaten Gu Yechen. He was no fool. His legs felt weak, nearly giving way beneath him. Well, have you decided how to leave this place with dignity? Gu Yechen scoffed, relishing the humiliation he inflicted upon Zhou Quan, planning to share the video of this encounter online for further amusement. His eyes gleamed with mockery. Feigning calm, Zhou Quan retorted, we have ties with the Shen family. You would do well to let me go. Perhaps you do not fear the Zhou family, but the power of the Shen family is not something you can provoke. He attempted to invoke the name of the Shen family to intimidate Gu Yechen. Gu Yechen and Appo's laughter was chilling. The Shen family? And what of it? Even if the king of heaven himself were to come, you shall not leave easily today. Zhou Quan's complexion grew increasingly pale. Gu Yechen, do not push your luck. Gu Yechen took a step closer, pressing into Zhou Quan and Appo's space. Push my luck? Compared to what your Zhou family has done to me, this is nothing. The atmosphere in the conference room was suffocating. Zhou Quan's back was drenched in cold sweat, while Gu Yechen remained an imposing force. Zhou Quan, nearly driven to madness, exclaimed, What do you want? He had underestimated Gu Yechen, who, beneath his refined exterior, concealed a terrifying nature. Zhou Quan realized that the Zhou family might truly be facing its demise at Gu Yechen's hands. Chapter 204. Zhou Quan is assaulted, what do you say? Gu Yechen chuckled softly, then swiftly approached Zhou Quan from behind and delivered a powerful kick to his thigh. The strike was as swift as lightning, catching Zhou Quan completely off guard. Crack! A sharp sound echoed, and Zhou Quan let out a piercing scream. The immense force shattered his left leg, twisting his features in agony as the excruciating pain coursed through him. You dare lay hands on me? Zhou Quan roared at Gu Yechen, his voice trembling with pain, filled with disbelief and fury. Strange, don't you feel it? Gu Yechen retorted, delivering another blow to Zhou Quan's broken leg without hesitation, as though confronting a loathed object rather than a person. Stop. Zhou Quan's protest was cut short by another agonized scream, even louder than the last, as Gu Yechen struck him again at the site of the fracture, nearly knocking the breath out of him. The searing pain surged like a tide, and sweat poured from Zhou Quan, soaking his clothes. Is this all you can endure? I truly wonder how you muster the confidence to threaten others, Gu Yechen remarked, shaking his head disdainfully at the Zhou family. His gaze was devoid of pity for Zhou Quan's suffering. Please, spare me. I beg you. Zhou Quan lay on the ground, his face and lips pale, a pitiful sight. His eyes were filled with fear and despair, stripped of their earlier arrogance. Gu Yechen paused. After all, Zhou Quan was the head of the Zhou family. Who would have thought he would plead with him? I never imagined someone from the Zhou family would resort to begging. Gu Yechen crouched before Zhou Quan, a smug grin spreading across his face, his eyes gleaming with a victor's triumph. If you spare me, I will do everything in my power to grant your wishes. Zhou Quan, enduring immense pain that felt as if it were shaking his very soul, pleaded. Then can you offer me your son's life? Gu Yechen's demeanor shifted instantly, his tone becoming grave and earnest. His gaze bore into Zhou Quan, awaiting his response. Zhou Quan hesitated, then said, Could we negotiate? After all, I only have one son, and I have indulged him somewhat. I assure you, such incidents will not occur again. His voice was weak and trembling as he sought a glimmer of hope for his son. Gu Yechen, however, had little patience. He replied, I do not strike first unless provoked. If someone wrongs me, I will retaliate. With that, he unleashed a flurry of punches and kicks upon Zhou Quan, each blow infused with power, yet not intended to take his life. However, Zhou Quan's future might be spent confined to a bed, as his cries echoed throughout the room. Xiaoke watched the scene with trepidation, yet her heart brimmed with satisfaction. Her sister had been wronged by the Zhou family due to her beauty, resulting in their family's decline from wealth to mediocrity, leaving her devoid of any compassion for the Zhou family. Subsequently, Gu Yechen ordered his men to drive Zhou Quan and abandon him at the Zhou family's doorstep. At the Zhou residence, Zhou Rulong sat on the sofa, his face dark as he perused the day's news online. The family's stock prices had plummeted once more. Though it was a family business, continued declines would be unsustainable. His brow furrowed, his eyes filled with worry and rage, wishing he could confront Zhou Zhixing. Just then, the butler rushed in, panic evident in his demeanor. Master, there's trouble. Having served Zhou Rulong for decades, their conversation was informal. Zhou Rulong frowned, wondering if there was anything worse than the current situation. What is it? Don't be so dramatic. The sky isn't falling. The family head has been injured and left at the doorstep. The butler's words jolted Zhou Rulong upright. He had handed over the family leadership to his son, only to find him beaten and discarded. His eyes widened in shock and fury. Who had the audacity to do such a thing? Zhou Rulong hurried outside, only to find his son's limbs broken, his condition dire, and his eyes filled with tears. His body trembled as he shouted, "Call 120 immediately." "It has already been done. The ambulance is on the way," the butler replied nervously, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. "Gu Yechen, the Zhou family will never forgive you." Zhou Rulong's gaze turned fierce. Only he had the right to harm his son. His fists clenched tightly, knuckles white with rage. His heart consumed with hatred for Gu Yechen, for it was his son who had sought out the trouble. Returning to the living room, Zhou Rulong refrained from following. Instead, he sat on the sofa, his expression grim. He glanced at the butler and commanded, "Bring Zhou Zhixing to me." His voice was icy, as if it could freeze the air. He regretted allowing his son to confront Gu Yechen, sensing there were hidden depths to Gu Yechen's strength. How could a mere initial-stage martial artist of the 6th rank possibly surpass him? "Grandfather." Upon entering the living room, Zhou Zhixing knelt instinctively. Having heard of his father's dire condition, which was a direct affront to the Zhou family, his body quivered with fear. "Tell me truthfully, how did you anger Gu Yechen a few days ago? Does he have any accomplices?" Zhou Rulong demanded, his gaze fixed intently on Zhou Zhixing, leaving no room for concealment. Zhou Zhixing, feeling the intensity of his grandfather's fury, had no choice but to confess. "Grandfather, he has an accomplice, one even Uncle Kong couldn't defeat," he stammered, his voice laced with trepidation as memories of that terrifying encounter flooded back. Zhou Rulong fell into deep thought, pondering the origins of this accomplice. Did Gu Yechen have a formidable force backing him? If so, the Zhou family was in grave peril. "Recount the details of that day to me once more. If you attempt to hide anything this time, I will toss you into the Pearl River to feed the fish," Zhou Rulong warned fiercely. Zhou Zhixing swallowed hard and began recounting the events, while Zhou Rulong's expression grew darker with each word, his anger escalating. "No matter what background Gu Yechen possesses, anyone who dares harm a member of the Zhou family shall not escape unscathed," Zhou Rulong declared vehemently. At that moment, the butler rushed in again, urgency in his voice. "Master, look." He produced his phone to show Zhou Rulong. Zhou Rulong glanced at the screen and immediately spat a mouthful of blood. He was taken aback to discover that both his son and grandson had been. Chapter 205, Disturbing Videos. Grandfather. Zhou Zhixing rushed over upon seeing his grandfather spitting blood, his face a mask of panic as he struggled to comprehend why a mere glance at his phone had elicited such a response. He took the device and glanced at the screen, his pupils widening in shock. The phone displayed 2 videos, one depicted him entangled with another man, the expression of his partner beneath him both bewildering and repulsive. The other revealed his father's infidelity, a revelation that shattered his perception of a man he had always considered devoted and caring. In the footage, his father was seen in a tender embrace with an unfamiliar woman, a sight that filled him with profound shock and anger. "Grandfather, please calm down." Zhou Zhixing hurriedly attempted to soothe Zhou Rulong. His hands trembled slightly, beads of sweat forming on his forehead. With a sharp crack, a resounding slap echoed through the room as Zhou Rulong bellowed, "You shameless wretch. I never imagined you would stoop so low as to engage with a man. You have brought disgrace upon the Zhou family." Following his tirade, he struck Zhou Zhixing once more. His hand shook uncontrollably, eyes filled with disappointment and fury. "Grandfather." Zhou Zhixing was left speechless, unable to fathom how a single lapse in judgment could result in such a catastrophic fallout. He was certain he hadn't filmed the incident. Perhaps it had been captured at the hotel? A fierce expression crossed his face as he realized the individual behind the video intended to ruin the Zhou family completely. His thoughts drifted to Gu Yechen, recalling how ever since their paths had crossed, misfortune had shadowed his life. "What shall we do now, grandfather?" Zhou Zhixing inquired gravely, his eyes glinting with a glimmer of hope that his grandfather would devise a suitable strategy to navigate this crisis. Zhou Rulong closed his eyes momentarily, then retrieved his phone and dialed a number. "Hello." The call connected, and a powerful voice emanated from the other end, clearly belonging to someone of significant stature. "Old Ghost. 10 billion to eliminate Gu Yechen." After delivering his command, he hung up without further ado or elaboration. "Grandfather, who is this old ghost?" Zhou Zhixing asked, curiosity piqued, though a hint of doubt and fear lingered in his tone. "Can he truly contend with Gu Yechen? Do not inquire about matters that do not concern you, lest I take action against you myself." Zhou Rulong had all but given up on his grandson. His eyes were filled with disdain, disappointment evident in his every glance. In a dimly lit basement, a muscular man with a bare torso sat in a chair, perusing documents in his hands. "Gu Yechen? Quite intriguing." The man, referred to as Old Ghost, affixed Gu Yechen and Appo's photograph to a board before deftly throwing a knife, which struck the image squarely in the forehead with unerring accuracy. A flicker of coldness passed through his eyes. That strike was merely a preliminary warm-up. He donned a shirt, lit a cigarette, and departed. At Yenning Tower, Gu Yechen sat in his office, observing the online discourse with a smirk playing on his lips. The entire business community was abuzz with news of the Zhou family, their notoriety soaring to unprecedented heights. Who could have anticipated that the patriarch of the Zhou family would be exposed for infidelity, and so publicly at that? Look at their son. He's the real deal, engaging with men. Truly, like father, like son. Online chatter flowed incessantly, overwhelmingly critical, with only a handful of voices expressing indifference. Indeed, the affairs of the affluent often transcend our comprehension. Quite right. Gu Yechen couldn't help but commend the online reactions, his spirits soaring as everything unfolded according to his design. Just then, his phone rang, and upon glancing at the screen, he noted it was Su Haoran calling. Hello, Brother Gu. Su Haoran's eager voice resonated as soon as the call connected. Su, what's the matter? Gu Yechen responded, calm yet curious. There's a racing event organized by the association tonight. Will you be attending? Su Haoran inquired, his tone brimming with anticipation. A racing event? Gu Yechen expressed confusion, unaware of such an occurrence. What racing event? He asked, his brow furrowing slightly, taken aback by the sudden news. You weren't aware. There's been a notice in the group. Tonight at 8 o'clock, a race at Aokitama Mountain. Those interested can sign up voluntarily, and we'll have a group meal before heading to the mountain to race. There are prizes for the winners. Su Haoran explained, surprised that Gu Yechen was uninformed. His tone rose slightly, attempting to clarify the situation for him. Ah, I see. I usually don't pay much attention to group messages unless someone directly notifies me. Gu Yechen shrugged, unconcerned about missing the prior notifications. Is that so? Su Haoran chuckled, surprised that Gu Yechen had overlooked the information. He then asked, Brother Gu, you seem quite busy. Mind sharing what you're up to? His voice reflected genuine interest in Gu Yechen's recent endeavors. Not particularly convenient, but I can tell you it pertains to a certain affluent family, Gu Yechen replied, bemused by the curiosity of those in this parallel world. Wait, I know. Is it about the Zhou family? Su Haoran sat up straight, excitement evident in his voice as if he had stumbled upon a monumental secret. Indeed, you've caught on. Gu Yechen chuckled lightly, his mood elevated by Su Haoran's perceptiveness. Brother, you should have included me in such developments. Su Haoran expressed mild irritation, as the Su family and the Zhou family had a history of rivalry. Su, the situation arose unexpectedly, and I only just took action. I had the time to inform you, Gu Yechen explained. All right then, I'll let it slide this time. However, you must participate in the racing event tonight. Let us have some fun together, Su Haoran insisted. Sure, that's a deal, Gu Yechen readily agreed, recognizing the value of expanding his circle of friends. After ending the call, Gu Yechen resumed his scrutiny of the online chatter regarding the Zhou family, quietly plotting his next moves. Aware that he must remain cautious of any retaliatory actions, for the Zhou family still held considerable influence. Chapter 206, Mingyue Tower. Time swiftly approached 5:30, prompting Gu Yechen to drive to Mingyue Tower, the designated venue for the gathering. Upon hearing from Su Haoran about the event, he eagerly signed up, curious to see if anyone could surpass his prowess. As Gu Yechen sped down the road, the roar of his engine resonated like a roaring beast. Many onlookers gazed longingly at his sports car, for who wouldn't desire a vehicle of their own? The sleek lines of the car glimmered under the warm glow of the setting sun. As the saying goes, it is better to weep in a luxury car than to laugh on a bicycle. Mingyue Tower, constructed entirely of classical red wood, exuded an air of elegance and antiquity, making it a favored dining spot for many. The establishment resembled a timeless beauty from ancient times, quietly radiating a unique charm. Outside, an array of luxury vehicles congregated, none of which were ordinary. The least expensive among them cost at least 3 million. The crowd primarily consisted of youthful individuals, predominantly in their 20s, lined up in a silent display of opulence. Su Xiao, where is that person you mentioned? Inquired one of the attendees, a fashionably dressed young man with an eager glint in his eyes. If you ask me, who can I ask? Su Haoran replied, slightly exasperated, his gaze frequently darting towards the end of the road, anticipating Gu Yechen's arrival. I heard that you have a good relationship with him, Su Xiao. Another young man chimed in, wearing a sycophantic smile. Typically, Shi Qingyuan would not attend such gatherings. So many were aligned with Su Haoran, whose family held considerable influence in Shanghai and shared a close rapport with the Shi family. Not bad, not bad, Su Haoran remarked, tilting his head slightly. He recognized Gu Yechen's capabilities. As long as there was no conflict, fostering a connection with him would undoubtedly benefit the Su family immensely. He secretly calculated the advantages in his mind, a proud smile creeping onto his face. At that moment, the distinct roar of a supercar echoed. Su Haoran smiled and exclaimed, He's here. His voice brimmed with excitement, and his eyes sparkled with anticipation. No sooner had he spoken than Gu Yechen appeared, driving his Bugatti Chiron, captivating the attention of all present with its stunning design. The unique contours of the car, its piercing headlights, and the powerful lines left onlookers utterly mesmerized. What defines luxury? This is luxury. Su Xiao, who is this? This car must be a limited edition, and its price is likely astronomical. A female voice inquired, eyes wide with astonishment, fixated on the exquisite vehicle. His name is Gu Yechen, the owner of Shiyuexuan Hotel. This car is likely the only Bugatti Chiron in the country. There are no more than 10 globally. Based on current market conditions, its value is at least 80 million. Su Haoran replied nonchalantly, though admiration for Gu Yechen shimmered in his eyes. While he remained composed, others were not so restrained. An 80 million sports car and a hotel owner clearly indicated a wealthy heir. They all instinctively thought to befriend Gu Yechen. Their gazes filled with enthusiasm as they turned towards him. Once Gu Yechen parked and stepped out of his car, he instantly commanded everyone's attention, overshadowing the Mercedes G-Class that followed him. His tall stature, extraordinary demeanor, and striking looks left many in awe. "Wow, he looks so young. He seems much younger than us," exclaimed a tall young man, his eyes wide with disbelief. "And he and Appos, as quite handsome," a girl chimed in, her gaze sparkling with admiration. Many young women looked at Gu Yechen with longing, vying for his attention, hoping to catch his eye. They adjusted their hair, slightly puffed their chests, and showcased their most charming poses. However, Gu Yechen bypassed everyone and walked directly towards Su Haoran, who also approached him without delay. Understanding the significance of Gu Yechen's stature and accomplishments, "Brother Gu, you made it." Su Haoran greeted with a warm smile, as if welcoming a long-lost friend. Gu Yechen nodded, responding, "Yes, sorry to keep you waiting." His voice was deep and magnetic, instantly endearing him to those who heard it. "No worries. We just arrived. The banquet has commenced. But we aren't seated at the same table, so it's all good," Su Haoran replied with a smile. "Brother Gu, your car is incredibly flashy." A young man interjected, his eyes brimming with envy and admiration, wishing he could own such a vehicle. "This is Shi Qingyun, the younger brother of Shi Qingyun," Su Haoran introduced, gesturing towards him with a friendly smile. "This is the Gu Yechen I mentioned," Su Haoran announced, raising his voice slightly for those nearby to hear. "Hello, everyone," Gu Yechen greeted, exuding warmth and approachability, as if enveloping them in the gentle embrace of spring. Surveying the crowd, Gu Yechen noted that all were young. Yet it was evident they were affluent, as inferred from their attire. Even if they attempted to feign a nonchalant demeanor, their luxurious brands and expensive accessories betrayed an inherent sense of superiority. "Shall we proceed?" Su Haoran suggested, leading Gu Yechen and the others into Minghua Tower. The grand entrance, crafted entirely from redwood, seemed to usher them into another realm. At that moment, a voice pierced through the air. "Ah, Su Xiao, what a lavish affair today. Just hope you don't deny it when you lose later." The tone was sharp and provocative. Su Haoran's expression darkened as he retorted, "You think you can win against us? Be careful you don't find yourself in tears later." His eyes flashed with anger before he quickly regained his composure. "Who is this person?" Gu Yechen inquired, intrigued by the audacious provocateur's boldness. Behind him, Shi Qingyun spoke, "Brother Gu, this is Chun Wu, the son of the head of the Chun family in Shanghai." His tone dropped, indicating a lack of fondness for Chun Wu. There are many prominent families in Shanghai, and the Chun family's power rivals that of the Jiang and Mo families, Shi Qingyun stated, his expression grave. "Why does he dare speak to Su Xiao like that?" Gu Yechen pondered, shifting his gaze between Su Haoran and Chun Wu, seeking clarity. "Because he is backing," Shi Qingyun replied, his voice low, though the Shi family was not intimidated by such connections. Nodding, Gu Yechen recognized the significance of influence in this era, his gaze deepening with contemplation. As the group entered Minghua Tower, the decor was opulent yet retained classical charm, and the atmosphere was lively. Waitstaff bustled about, providing attentive service to the guests. Su Haoran arrived at the designated location with Gu Yechen and others, and everyone took their seats. "Su Xiao, this competition is unlike any before. I have heard that there will be a mysterious guest participating," a young man remarked. "Who cares about any mysterious guest? With Brother Gu here, we have nothing to fear," Su Haoran replied confidently. Chapter 207, Conflict? Gu Yechen harbored considerable confidence in his abilities and was intrigued by the identity of the mysterious guest. His heart brimmed with curiosity and a hint of anticipation, eager for the unexpected surprises or challenges this enigmatic figure might bring. As everyone took their seats, Su Haoran ushered Gu Yechen into the principal position, for this gathering had been organized by them rather than the association. Despite their shared affiliation, rivalries often erupted, leading to fierce competition driven by personal interests and pride. The attendees remained silent as Su Haoran relinquished his spot, acknowledging that his decision was undoubtedly well-founded. After a moment of contemplation, Gu Yechen settled into his seat, with Su Haoran taking a position beside him. "Brothers, tonight we must decisively overpower our opponents," Shi Qingyun declared with fervor, yet Gu Yechen's thoughts wandered, fixated on the identity of the mysterious guest, pondering the significance and potential impact of such an individual in this exclusive event. Just as the group was enjoying their meal, the door to the private room was rudely thrust open. A dozen young men entered, led by one adorned with a large gold chain, a cigarette dangling from his lips, and donning sunglasses. The atmosphere shifted palpably, thickening with tension as they entered. Gu Yechen was momentarily taken aback upon seeing him. Why was he wearing sunglasses at such a late hour? Did he not fear tripping and falling? This thought flickered through his mind, inciting a wry smile. Well, is that Su Xiao? The leader exclaimed, a smirk of disdain gracing his lips upon spotting Su Haoran. His tone dripped with provocation, insinuating that Su Haoran had been his subordinate in a prior encounter. Who was this brash individual? Gu Yechen wondered, surprised by the audacity of his entrance. Shi Qingyun discreetly leaned closer to Gu Yechen and whispered, that fellow's surname is Liu, a scion of the Liu family from Kyoto, named Liu Chong. Gu Yechen nodded. Acknowledging this information, he assessed Liu Chong's demeanor and intentions with a calm gaze, recognizing the connection to the earlier Liu Fei. Enlightenment dawned upon him. Could this mysterious guest be related to the Liu family? Ah, a new face, Liu Chong remarked, his eyes scrutinizing Gu Yechen as he occupied the principal seat, while Su Haoran sat beside him. Su Xiao, are you perhaps incapable of securing your own position? He continued, his voice rising, aiming to ensure all present could hear his derision directed at Su Haoran. Su Haoran offered a calm smile, retorting, perhaps you should pray for mercy from the heavens. His tone was relaxed, yet his gaze radiated resolve and fearlessness. Leave no one standing. Bring him down. Liu Chong and Apos' expression darkened upon hearing Su Haoran and Apos' words. His anger palpable as he gestured for his followers to charge towards Su Haoran's direction, their eyes glinting with malice, intent on inflicting harm. Was the confrontation about to commence? Gu Yechen pondered, bemused by the hasty turn of events. He furrowed his brow, feeling exasperated by such a crude resolution. Meanwhile, Su Haoran's companions were readying themselves for the impending clash, their expressions resolute and devoid of hesitation. After all, they were no strangers to conflict. At that moment, Gu Yechen rose and addressed Liu Chong. You have 1 second to vacate my presence. His tone remained unflustered, yet there was an undeniable air of authority in his words. Though quiet, his voice resonated clearly, sending a shiver through the crowd. They were taken aback by Gu Yechen's directness. Liu Chong initially appeared stunned before erupting into laughter, his followers joining in the mockery. Surely you're not serious? In the entirety of Shanghai City, you're the first to dare speak to me thus. The last person who did so is now dead. So congratulations, you and Apos, re the first. His tone dripped with menace and arrogance, perceiving Gu Yechen and Apos' words as a death knell. Su Haoran's countenance shifted as he stepped protectively in front of Gu Yechen, believing Liu Chong's threat to hold merit, having investigated the matter previously. He sought to shield Gu Yechen from the brewing danger. Do you still require protection? Liu Chong scoffed, his gaze laced with scorn. Viewing Su Haoran and Gu Yechen as timid, Gu Yechen felt a surge of gratitude for Su Haoran and Apos' immediate defense, recognizing the potential for camaraderie in the future. He gently patted Su Haoran's shoulder, signaling him to step aside. Surprised by Gu Yechen's gesture, Su Haoran complied and returned his attention to Liu Chong. Liu Chong, if you possess the ability, let us settle this on Lu Chi Mountain. Parading your bravado here is merely a prelude to a skirmish. We fear you not. Su Haoran sipped his tea, exuding an air of composure as he fixed his unwavering gaze on Liu Chong, undeterred by the latter's imposing presence. Very well, let us see, Liu Chong declared, unwilling to concede any ground. If you're unafraid, then allow me to demonstrate. He gestured once more, and his followers surged forward with renewed ferocity. Chaos erupted within the private room, the cacophony of colliding furniture and shouts intertwining. Gu Yechen swiftly evaded an oncoming attack from one of Liu Chong's subordinates, countering with a punch that sent the assailant staggering backward. Su Haoran, witnessing Gu's prowess, could not help but exclaim, impressive. Yet he too was unyielding, engaging in combat with several of Liu Chong's men. Cease this at once. A commanding voice boomed. The room fell silent as all eyes turned toward the entrance, where a middle-aged man strode in, his piercing gaze preventing anyone from meeting his eyes. Gu Yechen narrowed his own eyes, scrutinizing the newcomer. What is the meaning of this ruckus? Are you unaware of the disturbance you're causing others? The man reprimanded. Upon recognizing him, Liu Chong's demeanor shifted to one of deference. Uncle Li, no explanations. All of you get out. If this happens again, do not expect me to be forgiving. The middle-aged man interrupted, and Liu Chong, unable to defy him, hastily retreated with his companions. My apologies for the disturbance, the middle-aged man said, offering an apology to Gu Yechen and the others before departing. The atmosphere in the private room returned to tranquility, yet unspoken tension lingered, indicating that the conflict with Liu Chong was far from resolved. Gu, we owe you a debt of gratitude, Su Haoran remarked. It was nothing. However, Liu Chong's arrogance is indeed remarkable, Gu Yechen replied. He has become accustomed to his oppressive behavior in Shanghai City, given his connections to the Liu family in Kyoto, Shi Qingyun added. Regardless of his lineage, anyone who dares to provoke us will face consequences, Gu Yechen declared, his resolve unwavering. The group nodded in agreement. Chapter 208. The owner of Mingyue Tower Liu Chong left in a dejected manner. If his father were to discover that he had stirred up trouble at Minghua Tower, he would undoubtedly face a severe beating. As he walked, he silently cursed to himself. Brother, we cannot let this slide. We just faced a confrontation and lost 10 men. A younger brother panted heavily, trailing closely behind Lu Chong. What did you say? Is that true? Lu Chong paused, his voice rising in disbelief. His eyes widening as if he had heard the most outrageous news. 10 men were taken down in a single encounter? This was utterly unbelievable to him. Brother, didn't you see it yourself? That guy knocked one of our brothers down with a single punch, right in front of you. The younger brother continued. A look of lingering dread on his face. Realization dawned on Lu Chong as he recalled that indeed, one of his men had been instantly incapacitated before his very eyes. Damn it, who is that person? How can he be so formidable? A sense of unease washed over him, cold sweat forming on his forehead. Thank heavens he was not the one who was struck. Otherwise, he shuddered to think of his fate. What do we do now? A younger brother asked anxiously. Confusion and fear evident in his gaze. How the hell should I know? Lu Chong shouted in frustration. If we can't end Oppos, beat them. Then we'll defeat them in a race at a Kinami mountain. I refuse to believe he can outpace me. His demeanor turned sinister, confidence in his racing skills surging. After all, Su Haoran had once lost to him, and this time he was certain of victory. If all else failed, he would resort to underhanded tactics to take them down. He would not swallow this humiliation easily. Meanwhile, in the private room, Su Haoran turned to Gu Yeqing, saying, Brother Gu, do you have confidence in this upcoming race? Su's eyes held a mix of anticipation and concern. He, too, was an automobile enthusiast with considerable skill, yet he had lost to another previously. Placing his hopes on Gu Yeqing this time. Isn't this something you can simply reach out for? Gu Yeqing shrugged nonchalantly, exuding an air of ease. This is no exaggeration. The system produces nothing but excellence, and I have absolute faith in myself. Everyone turned their curious gazes toward Gu Yeqing. Intrigued by this newcomer they had only heard of before. Some even suspected he was boasting, considering Su Haoran's previous defeat. How formidable could he truly be? Gu Yeqing surveyed the crowd, noting their curiosity, and smiled. For a contest of this nature, I need not even lift a finger, unless we are talking about professional racers. Nevertheless, I shall emerge victorious. His tone was resolute and self-assured. In his eyes, victory was already secured, while the others listened to Gu Yeqing's bravado. Only Su Haoran and Shi Qingyun truly believed in him. Others refrained from voicing their skepticism, as Gu Yeqing's vehicle alone indicated he was no ordinary individual. Perhaps he truly possessed the prowess he claimed. They thought to themselves, though doubtful, they dared not dismiss him outright. At that moment, there was a knock at the door, followed by its entrance. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our signature dish, especially gifted to you all as compensation for the recent mismanagement. Please enjoy, said the middle-aged man with a smile, his face etched with a blend of apology and amiability. Uncle Lee, you're too kind. Su Haoran stood up, smiling. He was not surprised by the middle-aged man's arrival, for Minghua Tower had always prioritized guest satisfaction. Are you all set for the race? The middle-aged man inquired, concern glimmering in his eyes. Su Haoran nodded, a smile gracing his lips. Yes, after losing last time, I must win this time. Determination shone in his gaze. A chance to reclaim his honor. And who might this be? He turned his attention to Gu Yeqing, his eyes filled with curiosity. Gu Yeqing rose, introducing himself succinctly. Gu Yeqing. His voice was firm, meeting the middle-aged man's gaze with calm confidence. The middle-aged man appeared momentarily taken aback before responding with a welcoming grin. Ah, Mr. Gu. It is our honor to host you at Minghua Tower. His tone brimmed with respect and surprise. Gu Yeqing narrowed his eyes slightly. He possessed no significant influence. Merely a member of the Dragon Team, a detail most outsiders would remain unaware of. Besides being the owner of Shui Yuexuan and acquaintances with the mayor, he had not anticipated such politeness from the middle-aged man. He secretly pondered the man's intentions. Sensing Gu Yeqing's scrutiny, the middle-aged man smiled. Mr. Gu, I mean no offense. Your presence is simply enchanting, as if drawn from a dream. He attempted to clarify his demeanor, hoping Gu Yeqing would not misconstrue his intentions. Uncle Lee, is there anything else? Su Haoran interjected, noticing a change in Gu Yeqing's expression, aiming to diffuse any potential awkwardness. Oh, my apologies, that was my oversight. Please enjoy. The middle-aged man exited, gently closing the door behind him. Brother Gu, there's no need for concern. Uncle Lee is simply like that, but he means well. Su Haoran reassured. Attempting to soothe Gu Yeqing's mood, Gu Yeqing shook his head. He did not take such matters to heart. After the middle-aged man departed, he knocked on the office door of the owner. Come in. A woman's voice resonated from within. Upon entering, the middle-aged man found a woman seated before a computer, seemingly engrossed in her screen. Her captivating phoenix eyes were striking, her skin fair and smooth as jade, with red lips and white teeth, radiating allure. Dressed casually in white, she exuded an effortless charm despite her informal attire. What brings you here? She asked, stretching languidly upon noticing the middle-aged man's presence. Her voice was melodious, akin to a babbling brook. The middle-aged man stepped forward respectfully, saying, "Miss, a guest named Gu Yeqing just arrived in the private room." The woman raised an eyebrow, intrigued. Gu Yeqing, is he the young man who has recently made waves in the business circles of Haixing City? She had heard of the name, but had not yet met him. That would be him, as the young master Su has been quite close to him. And I saw him sitting at the main table with Su Haoran and Shi Chengyun. He certainly possesses an extraordinary demeanor, the middle-aged man responded. She nodded thoughtfully. For Su Haoran to regard him highly, he must be someone exceptional. Please gather more information about him. The middle-aged man acknowledged her request and turned to leave. Wait, she suddenly called out. Please charge their expenses to my account. The middle-aged man was taken aback, but complied. Yes, Mississippi. After he exited, the woman leaned back in her chair, lost in thought. The name Gu Yeqing lingered in her mind, piquing her curiosity about his true identity. To be acquainted with both Su Haoran and Shi Chengyun, and also hold a connection with the owner of Shi Yuexuan suggested that his true stature was far more than met the eye. Once everyone had had their fill, they took a brief respite before proceeding to their destination. Chapter 209, The Winding Mountain Road in the Vehicle. Gu Yeqing surveyed the serpentine roads of Mount Economia. The sight left him utterly astounded. The road was a series of sharp turns. A relentless succession of bends that could only be described as 38 twists, far exceeding the typical 18. In the dim light of the moon, the winding path appeared elusive, resembling a colossal serpent lurking in the shadows. Following closely behind Su Haoran's car, Gu Yeqing navigated the treacherous ascent. The faint moonlight illuminated one side of the mountain, which was nearly a sheer cliff. The thought of careening off the edge into the abyss below sent chills down his spine, for the consequences would surely be dire. Leaving one battered and bruised, the steep slope descended into an unfathomable darkness, akin to an unseen maw, perpetually poised to devour those who might slip. Steeling himself, Gu Yeqing felt a surge of exhilaration. The challenge invigorated his spirit. The more arduous the environment, the more it ignited his inner resolve. Gripping the steering wheel tightly, he braced himself for the impending trial, dismissing the daunting terrain as inconsequential. At the summit, a throng of spectators had gathered, the atmosphere buzzing with excitement as they awaited the fierce racing competition. Observers at the base reported the ascent of a car, Su Xiao's vehicle. Their voices brimmed with anticipation, recalling the last intense race, where Su Haoran narrowly lost. Would he triumph this time? The crowd craned their necks toward the base as they caught snippets of the radio communication, met only by the enveloping darkness. Streetlights punctuated the road at intervals, resembling faint beacons amidst a vast sea. When Gu Yeqing's sports car finally emerged at the pinnacle, astonishment rippled through the crowd. They beheld a vehicle they had never seen before, a Bugatti Chiron. Those who quickly checked their phones widened their eyes in disbelief. The only Bugatti Chiron in the nation stood before them. Its sleek lines and unique design exuded an aura of rarity and prestige. Even Lu Chong and Chun Wu were taken aback, their expressions reflecting envy. Although their families were affluent, they could not indulge in such extravagant pursuits. Their own sports cars, worth around 10 million, paled in comparison to the priceless Bugatti Chiron. Curiosity and awe enveloped their thoughts as they pondered which affluent heir had the audacity to race such a luxury vehicle. At that moment, Gu Yeqing stepped out of the car with poise, his deep gaze and casual white attire amplifying his charisma. "Holy cow, it's the one who assaulted us," exclaimed one of Lu Chong's subordinates, recognizing Gu Yeqing as the man who had knocked him down with a single blow. Instinctively, he took a step back, trembling inwardly. Though his small movement went unnoticed, Lu Chong was left speechless. He hadn't anticipated that the Bugatti Chiron belonged to the very person they had encountered. Such a level of sports car was unheard of even among the elite in the capital. Anxiety gripped him as he pondered the formidable individual he had provoked. After all, there was only one in the entire country. Wealth alone couldn't secure such a treasure. Now, this enigmatic driver had arrived to compete. Beads of cold sweat formed on his forehead, and he silently regretted his earlier impulsive actions. "Is this real?" Lu Chong murmured, attempting to convince himself that what he saw was a mere illusion. If his father discovered this, he would surely face severe repercussions. "It's real, brother," a trembling subordinate whispered in his ear. "What do we do now? Should we still confront him?" The young man's eyes reflected fear and confusion. Lu Chong's face darkened. "What are you talking about? We'd be no match for him alone. Who should I ask for advice?" He slapped the young man on the head in frustration, overwhelmed by anger and helplessness at the foolishness of his subordinates. Su Haoran approached Gu Yeqing and inquired, "How do you feel?" His eyes held a glimmer of curiosity. "Not bad, just too many insects in the arena," Gu Yeqing replied with a relaxed smile. To him, this was not an intense racing competition, but rather a leisurely outing. Many women in the crowd gasped upon seeing Gu Yeqing and Su Haoran together, marveling at the sight of two strikingly handsome men. Their shrieks echoed, filled with admiration and infatuation, while Lu Chong and Chun Wu found their popularity waning in comparison. Although they too received applause, it paled in comparison to the fervor surrounding Gu Yeqing and Su Haoran. Chun Wu's countenance darkened as he realized Su Haoran's stature eclipsed his own, igniting jealousy and anger within him. Humph. They're merely relying on looks and cars to attract attention. The true test will be on the racecourse, he vowed internally, determined to reclaim his glory in the upcoming race. Lu Chong, too, wore a grim expression, realizing he lacked such overwhelming popularity, despite being the reigning champion. He felt the pressure of Gu Yechen's presence. At this juncture, the host stepped forward, proclaiming, "All drivers, prepare yourselves. The competition is about to commence." The atmosphere shifted to one of palpable tension as everyone held their breath, eagerly anticipating the thrilling contest. Gu Yechen and Su Haoran exchanged a glance before heading toward their respective vehicles, ready to embrace the challenge. Lu Chong and Qin Wu were equally resolute, climbing into their cars with fierce determination. Just as the host raised his hand to signal the start, a report came in from the base. A sports car is ascending the mountain. The observers were perplexed. Why was a car still permitted to ascend when the road should have been closed? The host suddenly realized, slapping his forehead, there is still a mysterious guest who hasn't arrived. He quickly informed everyone of the situation. Gu Yechen shook his head in disbelief at such a rookie mistake. As a sports car glided to a stop at the summit, a young man emerged, apologizing. "Sorry for being late." Lu Chong's eyes widened in shock upon recognizing the newcomer, while Gu Yechen narrowed his gaze, scrutinizing the unexpected arrival. Chapter 210. Is the mysterious man Lu Fei? In the vehicle, a young man stepped out, adorned in a meticulously tailored high-end suit, the exquisite fabric reflecting his noble status. Upon recognizing the newcomer, Lu Chong rushed over, exclaiming, "Fei Ge, what brings you here?" His face was a canvas of surprise and flattery, as if he had encountered a savior. The visitor was none other than Lu Fei, accompanied by an elderly gentleman who had previously been by his side. The old man's expression was calm, his gaze profound, as if the unfolding scene held little intrigue for him. After greeting everyone, Lu Fei's eyes fell upon Gu Yechen. Momentarily taken aback, he quickly composed himself, smiled, and approached Gu Yechen, saying, "Mr. Gu, it's a pleasure to see you again. I trust all is well." Though his smile was present, a glint of menace flickered in his eyes. Gu Yechen had swindled him out of a considerable sum, and more importantly, he had humiliated him before others. Today presented a splendid opportunity for Lu Fei to reclaim his dignity. His hands instinctively clenched. In response to Lu Fei's words, Gu Yechen smiled and replied, "Mr. Lu, it's nothing. We just met at the charity gala. And I must commend you for your generous donations to the children in the mountainous regions. Your benevolence has truly impressed me." While his tone was light and his smile gentle, a hint of mockery lurked within his eyes. Indeed, upon hearing Gu Yechen and Apos' remarks, a flicker of distortion crossed Lu Fei's face. Though it appeared that Gu Yechen was complimenting him, in reality, he was ridiculing him, igniting a spark of anger within Lu Fei. However, with so many witnesses around, he refrained from expressing his wrath, opting instead to let his prowess on the racetrack speak for itself. Taking a deep breath to suppress his fury, he said, "Mr. Gu, let us wait and see. Please, do carry on." Gu Yechen shrugged, unperturbed by the tension. "Isn't that the young master of the Su family? I never expected to see you here." Lu Fei remarked with a smile, though his eyes conveyed disdain, as if Su Haoran were unworthy of comparison. This exchange did not escape the notice of Gu Yechen and Su Haoran. Su Haoran smiled and said, "Young Master Lu, I'm surprised to see you here. On behalf of all the children in the mountains, I extend my gratitude for your generosity. With your support, I believe they will have a better future." His tone dripped with sarcasm. Despite the Su family's lesser status compared to the Lu family, he was not intimidated by Lu Fei and Xinghai. Lu Fei's expression darkened in an instant. He had anticipated ridicule from Gu Yechen, but he did not expect Su Haoran to dare challenge him. It was a path towards self-destruction. The old man behind Lu Fei remained unfazed, as if the entire situation was of no concern to him. Lu Fei's gaze turned sinister as he gritted his teeth and warned, "Just you wait." With a smile, Lu Fei added, "I hope you both can leave here with those smiles intact." He had already devised a plan to take action during the race, so long as no one died. Nothing else mattered. After all, this was not Kyoto, and any mishap could lead to considerable trouble. His smile held a trace of malice that sent shivers down spines. "Young Master Lu," the host greeted Lu Fei before preparing for the race. There was a tinge of reverence in the host's voice, clearly wary of Lu Fei's status. Everyone began their preparations. Just then, Lu Fei turned to Gu Yechen and Su Haoran, warning, "Gentlemen, do take care. Otherwise, you might not make it back alive." His voice was low and chilling, the threat unmistakable. Gu Yechen chuckled, replying, "Young Master Lu, you should be cautious." His smile was confident and untroubled, as he dismissed Lu Fei and Apos' threat entirely. Upon hearing Gu Yechen and Apos' words, the old man behind Lu Fei cast a glance at Gu Yechen, seemingly contemplating something. His eyes were deep and sharp, as if attempting to penetrate Gu Yechen's innermost thoughts. As all preparations were completed, the number of participants grew from 4 to 5, with the rest merely there to cheer. Gu Yechen's vehicle had been replaced with a Ferrari F8 belonging to Shi Chengyun. He would not risk his Bugatti Chiron in this endeavor. Moreover, he anticipated that something unexpected might occur. The host cleared his throat and announced, "Ready." His voice was vibrant and uplifting, instantly igniting the atmosphere. A starting gun fired. And before others could react, Gu Yechen's car surged forward. In that instant, the Ferrari F8 burst forth like a wild stallion, its powerful acceleration causing the tires to screech against the ground, producing a cloud of smoke, while an ear-piercing wail echoed, creating an immediate gap from the other vehicles. Next came Lu Fei and Su Haoran. Lu Fei's expression was grim as